Huh.
What's that?
No, nothing.
Okay, Mr. Spivey. Thanks. Appreciate it. Not too worried about them, and that's great that they mentioned us. Thank you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Tuesday, where even if I knew the game was fixed, I'd still be on the wrong side of it. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Top
Great
of the morning
game
to you,
last
Mark.
night, David.
Oh.
Great game. Thanks. Good morning to you as well. Great game. Lots of scoring throughout. Exciting till the end. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Really did. Oh, I'm talking about Canucks Panthers.
Right. Yes. Panthers.
Or I could be talking about Heat Knicks. Either
Right.
one of those I could be talking about because I watched both of those, at least parts of them.
Mark, you could have been talking about the Caps and the Kings, and that game was 2-1. And it would be more fitting than last night's snooze fest. The two things that interested me during the course of the proceedings last night was that I found out that last night's game, and maybe this is not surprising, but last night's game was the most expensive NFL ticket on the secondary market so far this year.
Cowboys fan wanted to go to Vegas.
Yes, they did.
And it sounded, from what I listened to, and I kind of watched it off and on, but I honestly had the volume on the hockey until that was over. And then I switched to the Heat until that was over. And then moved to Monday Night Football. But it sounded like a Cowboys home game.
Yeah, you know how sometimes the announcers, say, oh, a lot of visiting fans here, it's 50-50, 60-40, and it's really 75-25. Not last night. It was 50-50. Might have been more. I mean, put it this way. Nobody left that stadium till there was 4 minutes to go. And in a game that was over, if you didn't believe it was over at halftime, it sure was over first possession of the third quarter. Yeah. The second thing, Mark, was that the game took 2 hours and 58 minutes.
Well, I know, a bonus for you.
Yeah, glorious.
That's what you're shooting for on a Monday night game, particularly when you're out west and getting up at 2:00 in the morning.
Right. And, where we had to park was over a half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile from the stadium. So, yeah, to be able to get out and get back, outstanding.
if they ever get good again, they'll have fans. But is their home field advantage going to be much like the Los Angeles teams going forward in Vegas? Because I knew you were right about it when you said the highest ticket. It made sense, but I even noticed that people that I know and people that I know made the trek to the game.
Yeah, like was talking to a Raiders season ticket holder last night who said he paid for his entire season for the tickets to this game. But I do think, like, I went to breakfast yesterday and everybody in the joint was wearing Raider stuff. Well, I figured they were told to. Well, apparently they weren't. It was not mandatory, but all of the waiters and waitresses, and many of those are from Vegas, born and raised. And that's a thing out here. Okay. Those that are from Vegas are very proud of it. And it's why the hockey team will probably always be as popular as it is because they tapped into that, Mark, right away. The Golden Knights, born and raised in Vegas. That hits home with people who are from this area. The Raiders, from the R&D that I've done over the last day and a half, 2 days, are the most popular team out here. All right. They're just bad. Now, I've been out here when they've been competitive, and the place was pretty loud and much more pro Raiders than SoFi is pro Rams on a game-by-game basis. But, Mark, I do think you're on to something, that because of the city and how transient it is, that it will never be like it is in 20-something other NFL markets. It's an intimate stadium also. I don't know how it comes across on television. It's not a huge stadium at all. Like, I'm pretty sure they don't do 70,000. I'm pretty sure it's like mid-60s. It's built exactly like Arizona Stadium, only not as big. Arizona Stadium's a little bigger, got more seating in the upper decks, fans out a little bit more. The Raiders Stadium is pretty intimate. They do invite a lot of ex-Raiders to the game. They make sure to highlight in the suites all of the former Oakland Raiders who are at the game. Jim Plunkett was there last night, Raymond Chester, and a few others.
No, and I think it's always going to be a difficult ticket to get, because I've said this before on the show. As soon as they moved to Vegas, my wife, the diehard Steelers fan, immediately said, "Ooh, I'd go out there for a game if the Steelers were playing."
Exactly.
And I was like, wow, okay, I'd do that. Come on. You can get the red eye home after the game on Sunday if it's a Sunday game, and it'd be a push. It'd be a long Monday, but you could be out of their home and to work Monday morning.
Sure. There are a few people I've run into who decided to make this the beginning of their week out here. They're staying for the F1 race. So they came into town and, they're basically vacationing out here.
But, man, I know you can turn it around quickly. I mean, we've watched it. Washington obviously went backward this year, but Denver turned it around in a short time. It looks as if the New England Patriots are turning it around. But then for every one of those, there's a Jets and a Dolphins and a Browns who seemingly just spin their wheels, and somewhere between awful and NFL purgatory, which is 7-10, 8-9. And I know Tom Brady's there, and I get it. He doesn't lose and all those things. We have no idea how much he knows about running a football team. We don't. And we don't know what support he's going to get, ownership, and make decisions. I don't know. They've got a special player in Brock Bowers. They do. They have a special player in Max Crosby. Genty right now, we'll see. Jury's still out. But boy, oh boy, you were up close and personal. How do you see enough there that if they get the quarterback right, they would turn it around quickly?
No. I see them as the third worst roster in the league. Maybe the Titans and Saints are worse, maybe. But you're right, Mark. If I'm the Raiders, I'm beginning the rebuild, retool. I got to trade Max Crosby. I need the picks. I need the 3 first-rounders. And I will say, Crosby's amazing. I mean, he is. They ran away from him most of the night, and they double-teamed him literally on every single play. Every single play. They were bringing the left guard, who's their best offensive lineman. They were bringing the left guard over to be the second lineman to double team him on plays. He's remarkable. The other thing that impressed me, and it may be a little thing, I didn't know that the Cowboys, and I don't know how many of you stayed up and were still watching, but the Raiders turned the ball over on downs on like their own 6-yard line with 2:20 to go. And the Cowboys send the offense onto the field, and Max Crosby comes running onto the field with the defense. First guy on the field. Now, this game's over. They're down 17. There's 2:20 to go. I mean, you don't want to get Max Crosby hurt, do you? This would be a spot maybe to take him out of the game. He wasn't hearing any of it. Ran right out onto the field. Now, it turned out the Cowboys then decided to take a knee, but at the time that the players are running out on the field, the Raiders don't know that the Cowboys are going to get in the victory formation and take a knee 4 times. So
we talked about this, though. This isn't Saturdays. Guys play.
Yeah.
There's a pride factor involved. I spent my working days in sports and hockey, and there were certain players who it was a really big deal to play all 80 games or 82, depending on the league that I worked in, but mostly 80. It was a big deal that they played in every game, that they were those type of guys. And there are football players that are very much like that. They want to play every play.
Yeah. Outside of Max Crosby on defense, I don't see anybody who can't be replaced. On offense, you got the 2 tight ends and Genty. That's it. They're a long ways away. A long ways away.
And I think we're getting to that point, David, where, it's why I'll go back to what Jacksonville did on Sunday. We think the Chargers are a pretty good NFL team. There are some wins out there that at this point of the year you look at, and they just don't mean as much. Like, hey, it was great. Dan Campbell called a terrific game against Washington. Well, you know what? Washington sucks. I mean, let's just be brutally honest. That's a bad football team. They played the Eagles. Things didn't work out right. There are just certain games that are at this point in the season, you have to take, you have to win. You can't screw it up, David. But you know what I mean. There are certain teams that the win doesn't mean that much to me anymore.
Well, and once again, I don't know how many of you watched, but Troy Aikman was pointing out how well the Cowboys were playing and then said, yeah, but they're going to play the Eagles and the Chiefs the next 2 weeks. We'll learn a lot more in the next 10 days.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This year during Thanksgiving week, Fort Myers takes the national stage, hosting not one but two elite women's college basketball tournaments, the Fort Myers Tip-Off and Coconut Hoops, both featuring Power Four teams and nationally ranked programs. Few places in the country can showcase this level of talent. We're proud that Fort Myers is one of them. Don't miss your chance for tickets. Go to visitfortmyers.com/basketball. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's an indictment then on their coach if they took the game off, Puck. I mean, it was before their bye week. If they're taking a game off before their bye week, a Jim Harbaugh team, I don't buy it. Had to be a pretty big crew. He's got 74 kids, SEC. I cursed my mom last week because she said she didn't like the TV commercial. I said, stop it. Stop it right now. You don't say anything bad about them. They are one of our biggest sponsors. Tells you how much she listens to my show.
Exactly.
But she got cursed by all the old women that she plays cards with when she said it. They all went, no. They all went, we love it. We've watched their whole family grow up. I mean, all the old biddies just jumped down my mom's throat for it.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I'm like, are you serious right now? I gave it to her. I'm like, I don't ever want to hear it. Don't speak those words in my house. I go, and if you need anything done at your house, they're doing it.
I was going to say, Mom, I don't know if we'd be on the air still if it wasn't for TJ and Floor Meisters.
Exactly.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X on this Tuesday. Is today National something cute, entertaining?
Not
day?
really. Not a damn thing.
Hmm.
Nothing that really struck a chord with me, David.
Okay. All right. That'll happen. You know, I don't know why. It's kind of like conference scheduling in college football. I don't know why they can't take a look at the games and go, we got 5 really good ones on this date. How about we move a couple of them?
That's David's first public service announcement that outside of the game he's working at 3:30. There's not a whole hell of a lot to watch this Saturday.
No, there isn't. And once again, what is this after all?
It's a TV show. And they still, I don't know if allow is too strong of a word, but they still have not been able to negotiate well enough with their academic partners on scheduling good games every week. There is an early week, usually week 2 or week 3. That's a complete dud. And then the week before Thanksgiving is typically a dud. But that doesn't mean there are not a lot of off-the-field things to talk about. And let's start in Oxford, David. Because what's being reported is the Ole Miss people interpreted the post-game presser the same way you and I interpreted the post-game presser. And, oh, yeah, by the way, apparently, by all accounts, the family has spent some time in Baton Rouge and in Gainesville checking things out. So, Ole Miss, by all reports, has told Lane Kiffin and his people that they want an answer about Lane's future before the Egg Bowl.
Which I think is a mistake.
David, I'm glad. Why? Why are you giving this guy an ultimatum?
Now, I think wanting an answer within 72 hours after the Egg Bowl is played, but I'm pretty sure Ole Miss is in no matter what, because they do have the win over Oklahoma, but they don't have really another good win on their resume.
No, but most of the predictors of the simulators and the different things out there, the playoff predictors, have them in.
I understand.
Whether it's ESPN, The Athletic, whatever CBS Sports, whatever you use seems to have them in.
I get that, but imagine they're a 10-2 with a season-ending loss to Mississippi State. Wouldn't they fall all the way back to right now? They're the 3rd team in the SEC. Wouldn't we agree?
Yes.
It's A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss. and then Oklahoma, Alabama. Why? They have 2 losses. Now, would be interesting. Right now, Oklahoma's ahead of Alabama, but Ole Miss's one resume-building win was at Oklahoma. So would they not fall that far? Or because of the loss, which would be a bad loss, I know it's a rivalry game, but Mississippi State has what, 1 conference win?
They beat Arkansas. I believe that's it. Played a bunch of teams tough.
Yes, they did. But Arkansas has played a bunch of team stuff too, and they got a donut. So you wonder, because Mark, you either are treating Ole Miss as if they have a free pass. If they lose, they're still the number 3 SEC team because, well, they beat Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's the 4th SEC team ahead of Alabama, the 5th. Or do you just say it matters when you lose and who you lose to, and you drop Ole Miss all the way down past Bama, and then the resumes get interesting. I think their resume is better than Vandy, but there's not a lot of room between Alabama and Vandy. I think in the AP, one was 10 and one was 12.
Exactly right, David. Exactly right. That loss would be
damaging.
It would be damaging, but not catastrophic.
No, but I don't think they could afford craziness to go on conference championship weekend.
The only craziness that could happen championship weekend that would affect anything is BYU beating Texas Tech.
Right. And that could happen.
No, it could. It could. But there's no craziness in the ACC because I don't believe they're getting 2 in.
It doesn't look it right now. We would need to see something tonight from the committee. And we zeroed in on something yesterday. For the ACC to have a chance to get more than 1 bid, they got to get their best or 2 best teams ahead of Vandy in the rankings. Right now, Vandy's 2-loss season is deemed better than Miami's, is deemed better than Georgia Tech's 1-loss season. And Vandy's not making the playoffs. It's not happening. Don't care if Vandy... The only chance Vandy has of making the playoffs, besides the fact they would obviously have to win out, including a season ender against the Vols, is that Oklahoma or Alabama would have to lose the 3rd game. And even then, I still don't know if they'd put Bama behind Vandy because they beat Vandy.
That would be rich, David. I mean, think about it. Alabama gets in over Vandy because they beat Vandy, but Notre Dame gets in ahead of Miami, and Miami beat. I mean, that would be something. Yes, I would love to hear them try to explain that one away to us.
And they would give you a whole bunch of gobbledygook, and it would ultimately come down to, guys, they're Alabama. Hello? What have you been saying? It's a TV show?
But you're right. You know, where are Miami and Georgia Tech ranked tonight in relationship with BYU and Vanderbilt? Those to me are a big deal.
Yes. Yes. We think it is. We think it is. We're just looking at how is the SEC not going to get 5? There's only 2 ways they could not get 5. Well, I guess some of their teams could fall apart. But it's for the Big 12 and or the ACC to get a second bid. Because now you start to do the math. 5, 3 for the Big 10, 2 for one of those 2 conferences, 1, 1, 1. Does that add up?
So a lot that can still happen tonight will be interesting when you look at teams 11 through 15, if you will. How are they going to stack those teams up? We all know they can change it week to week. They've done it before. They have no problem doing it. But the indicator tonight would be how our 11, 12, 13, 14 essentially ranked. And then obviously the other big story from college football yesterday, Virginia Tech got their guy.
They did. James Franklin chose Virginia Tech over Arkansas. Arkansas wanted him, and he chose Virginia Tech. Let me ask you, it could be a poll question. I don't know how much interest there is, but if you had your choice, Virginia Tech or Arkansas, which job would you take?
It's a fascinating question because, as you've spoken about over the years, Arkansas has a lot of money and great facilities.
Yep.
But Virginia Tech in the last year, maybe year and a half, has announced a major financial commitment to their athletic programs and especially their football program. And James Franklin apparently took a much lower buyout than he could have in working out this deal with Virginia Tech, doing Penn State a solid. Miller and Moulton, the starting five, is next.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
DC, I just remember when Beamer took them to the national title, they had like 6 kids from Southwest Florida on the team. And I remember we asked him, because we were covering the game, because it was on ABC. And so we were in New Orleans, and we asked him about that, and he said, "Oh yeah, we have a guy specifically who targets the West Coast and Southwest coast of Florida." Okay. I've never been to a game in Blacksburg. Almost went early 2000s when the Canes were awesome. And I think it was the 02 season when they were trying to repeat. Their final game of the regular season was in Blacksburg, and we seriously considered going. They had local kids on the team, and it was Thanksgiving weekend, and boss didn't want to spend any money on sports. "2002 was kind of the beginning of the end of my TV career, when the station I was at wouldn't send us to the Fiesta Bowl with Miami and the Natty, and wouldn't send us to the Super Bowl with the Bucks in it, with 4 kids from Southwest Florida who played on the team. 4. So that was when I kind of knew, I think I got to get out of local TV, because sports is dying. Either that or leave the market. Yeah, I resigned. I was 2 years and 3 months into a 5-year contract. And I walked in and said, "I'm done. This isn't fun for me anymore. You guys don't care about sports."
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan to join us in a little more than an hour. We'll go through what has happened and begin to look ahead to where we go from here in the NFL season. But right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
As is usually the case, we start with the NFL, and a lot going on, which you would expect from a Monday. We'll start with the game Monday night. Cowboys dominated the Raiders. I don't think the game was as close as the final score of 33-16. Dallas improved to 4-5-1 on the season, likely have to win 6 of their final 7 to make the playoffs. Anybody think 9-7-1 is going to be good enough in the NFC? Probably got to get to 10-6-1, which would be the nice half-game advantage on the 10-7s. But Dallas, needing to win 6 of their final 7, hosts the Eagles, and then 72 hours later hosts the Chiefs. Well, 96 hours later. I got to work on my math at this hour. The Raiders fall to 2-8. We'll say it again. We say it a lot, but oftentimes things are forgotten. Week 1 is the most unpredictable, irrational, upon further review, week in the NFL. Because what happened week 1? The Raiders went into Foxborough and beat the Patriots. One team is now 9-2. The other is 2-8. Raiders host the Browns in a draft pick game coming up on Sunday. Cowboys scored on 5 straight possessions. Kicked a field goal and then 4 straight touchdowns from late in the first quarter to first possession of the third quarter to put the game away. Next week, 4 teams on their bye. The Dolphins, the Commanders, the Broncos, and the Chargers. A lot of NFL news emerged yesterday, most of it on the injury front. Falcons lose quarterback Michael Penix, likely for the rest of the year. They're calling it damage to his ACL. They're not saying it's a complete tear. Penix, if you recall, one of the things working against him coming out of college, entering the draft, he was older, he was 24, because he missed 2 seasons because he tore both ACLs while in college. He's apparently suffered some knee damage again. And the word is the Falcons are going to hold him out for the rest of the year. Wondering how much of it is the injury and how much of it is 3-7. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase suspended a game. We talked about this yesterday. There was recent precedent. How could they not do the same to Chase? Well, they did. Suspended a game for spitting at Jalen Ramsey. Chase continues to deny that he did it. The NFL basically says, yeah, we looked at the film and we don't believe you. Bengals host the Patriots this week. Another break for New England. You need these type of things. Go back last year and check the second half of the season, how many backup quarterbacks the Commanders ended up facing because of injury. Now, the little thing, you're the Patriots. Hey, Bengals can be a problem on offense. You have a great secondary, but come on now. Their wide receiving core is good as any. And now Chase isn't going to play? That's a nice little break that the Patriots are getting. Jets are changing quarterbacks. Justin Fields benched. Tyrod Taylor to be the starter. Wonder how many times Justin Fields will play for the Jets the remainder of this year. He has a $20 million contract for next year, half of it guaranteed. Josh Jacobs, knee soreness, or soreness, I should say. Packers say he is week to week. Doesn't sound like he will play this week for what it's worth. Falcons wide receiver Drake London, also week to week with a knee injury. 49ers need a new kicker. Eddie Pinheiro had been doing really well for them. He strained his hamstring. So they're going to have to find somebody in the short term. The Commanders cut their kicker, Matt Gay, and a kicker that the Niners might have been interested in because they drafted him and then cut him, Jake Moody. The Commanders signed him. It's ironic because Moody was on the Bears practice squad, was activated for a game. That game was at Washington. He kicked the game-winning field goal for the Bears. By the way, Bears 7-3. They've won 3 games on the final play of the game this year. When it's your year, those things happen. So Jake Moody, the kicker for the Commanders going forward. To college football and the big story, Blacksburg, Virginia. James Franklin relocates from Penn State to Virginia Tech. They'll have their news conference tomorrow, but Franklin's already released a statement acknowledging the reports and saying he's proud to be a Hokie. Let me ask you this. Not just you, Mark, but our listeners. I asked earlier, if you had a choice between the Arkansas job and the Virginia Tech job, which would you take? And despite how much I like the Fayetteville, Bentonville area and believe in Arkansas, I would take the Virginia Tech job because I think it's an easier gig. That on Arkansas's best day, they're the 10th or 11th best program in the SEC going forward. Where do you think Virginia Tech is if they get their act together? And
on their best day? On their best day?
Yeah, if they have it together the way Beamer had it in the late 90s through a good chunk of the 2000s, where is Virginia Tech in the modern ACC?
I think they can be a top 4 every year. Look at if assuming, and it's a terrible way to do this, but if everyone has their act together, so to speak, they're behind Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. That's all. I mean, I'm sorry. To me, with those schools, they've got to. Doesn't mean that they can't be the best once every 4 years, sure, but they're still 4th to me. Okay. If I were ranking schools as to where I would want to go work.
And I'd put them in the top 6, but I hear you. It's still better off than where Arkansas is in respect to the rest of the SEC. Hockey, NHL, 6 games yesterday. Panthers had a 5-2 lead over Vancouver. Canucks came back and tied it at 5. Sam Bennett then scored the game winner. Panthers tack in 2 more on top of it, including Marchand with another one, an empty netter. 8-5 Florida over the Canucks. Carolina slowed down the Bruins, who had won 8 of 9, 3-1. This is the type of loss that gets somebody fired or gets a trade made because the locker room needs to be shaken up. How does Edmonton lose to Buffalo, period? Never mind 5-1. If that doesn't have legs, then the Oilers are going nowhere. Washington, Ovechkin with the game winner, number 903 in his legendary career. Caps 2-1 over the Kings. Columbus blew a 3-1 third period lead, but ended up beating Montreal in a shootout 4-3. And Anaheim at home beat Utah in overtime 3-2. Bunch of games in the NBA. Heat hold off the Knicks 115-113. Miami 6-1 at home. The Knicks are 0-4 on the road. Cleveland, they beat Milwaukee in part because Giannis had to leave the game in the second half. He's got a hamstring or a groin injury. Those can be tricky. Cleveland 118-106. Donovan Mitchell with 37. Ladies and gentlemen, the best team in the Eastern Conference with the second best record in the NBA is the Detroit Pistons. They are 12-2. They handled Indiana, who's 1-13. That's right, the same team that was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Pistons won by 15, 127-112. Detroit sends the Pacers to their 8th straight loss. The Clippers lost in Boston, 111-108 on Sunday. They then went to Philly, had a 10-point lead going to the 4th, and lost to the 76ers, 110-108. Nice win for Philly. Clippers are like 4-9 on the season. Ouch. Toronto, by the same score, beat Charlotte 110-108. They've won 8 of 9. Minnesota, T-Wolves have won 5 of 6. They throttled Dallas 120-96. The Thunder are 14-1. They beat the Pelicans 126-109. Don't worry, New Orleans. A, you're 2-12, and B, Joe Dumars has already traded away your first-round pick in next year's draft. And the Bulls had a couple late threes. They hit 19 of them on the night, and they beat the Nuggets in Denver 130-127, despite, yes, another triple-double for the best player in the league, Jokic. 39 points, 18 rebounds, 13 assists. Amazing. One other NBA note, kind of a big deal. He's kind of a big guy. Wemby out. Minimum of 2 weeks. Could be minimum of 3 weeks. He's got a strained left calf. He will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know about you, but I don't know if he'll return before Christmas.
He's out minimum a month if I'm running San Antonio. I'm not joking around. You can't take a chance on a calf becoming a ruptured Achilles. No way.
Exactly. We are on the same page. College hoops. There were 5 ranked teams in action last night. 4 of them, Iowa State, Wisconsin, Tennessee, and Gonzaga, all won easily. The 5th one, NC State. Nice game against VCU. Wolfpack won it by 6, 85-79. We told you UCF was going to have a tough time with Oakland. Greg Campy's crew. Sure enough, 12-point favorite. Knights survive 87-83 against Oakland. Georgia beat FAMU by 30. Clemson beat North Alabama by 20. And FAU, a 25-point home win. And finally, I don't know if you've heard, but the World Cup is coming to North America next year, mostly to the United States, but there are 3 matches being hosted in Mexico and 2 in Canada, or at least 3 cities in Mexico and 2 cities in Canada. I think there's more matches, but so with our current president and their tough line on immigration and border security, there was a great deal of concern from FIFA about, hey, are fans going to show up for some of the matches, or are they going to be worried about arrest? So there was a big meeting yesterday at the White House. The president, border czars, FIFA, they came to an agreement.
The Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up with the celebration.
Sorry about that. Something happened to the computer.
No problem. So they came to an agreement prioritizing visa interviews called FIFA Pass. Is this like driving on a toll? Is this like Easy Pass? Anyway, visa interviews to screen those who have tickets who are wanting to come to the United States and see the matches. So we'll see if this can go on without a hitch. There had been some consternation on both sides as to whether or not the tournament was going to be affected. But FIFA Pass, agreed to by the U.S. and FIFA as part of the World Cup next year. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories and a FIFA Pass here on Miller and Moulton.
Is that like a fast pass at Disney?
Oh, that's what I said. Is that like Easy Pass? Is that like, whatever state you're in, and if you get one of those, you can drive right through the toll? It's the way they made it seem in the press release. So
the ticket prices for this World Cup are out of hand. I wanted to go to a game so badly. I don't know if I can afford to.
I don't think you can. And Mark, the prices aren't going to get any lower because apparently as soon as they make them available, they're selling out. The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. 444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hello. So is that we're going to go with the Arkansas or Vatech? Do you have anything else for a poll question?
No. Michael, how many people you think are going to make sure that they find a way to watch Cleveland at Las Vegas because of Shedeur Sanders?
Right. And Michael, it's a 4:05 game. It is not on anywhere. You won't get it where you live. You will have to be in the Cleveland or Las Vegas markets to even get the game, because the 4:25 games are the national games, which is the Eagles and the Cowboys. Trust me, Red Zone won't put it on that much.
It is the one game. No, CBS has the Jags and the Cardinals.
Right.
Also at 4:05.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on a Tuesday, as we're less than a week and a half away from the Thanksgiving holiday. Miller and Moulton will take a couple days off for the Thanksgiving holiday. So there. We don't take a lot of days off. You know that. All right. I mean, fortunately, our next guest in an hour takes less days off than us, so he calls us slackers. But I don't know of people who do, 5 shows a week of 4 hours a show who take off less time than Miller and Moulton. Except for
and it's mainly because we can't afford anyone to fill in for us. In fact, it's not mainly. It's exactly why we don't take more time off.
See, here I am trying to pat ourselves on the back, and you're basically like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We're broke, and we can't do it any other way. So then there's that. That's
if you'd like us to have a little more time off, there are a few sponsorships still available, like the good folks of Lee County who brought you the starting 5.
The starting 5 brought to you.
And tourism. I had the banner up and everything for you, David, and then I had a computer breakdown during the segment. There was a lot going on. It's been a hell of a morning. We have had a behind-the-scenes hell of a morning so far.
Right. We connected, couldn't communicate at all. Didn't hear the other at all. Couldn't hear ourselves, couldn't hear the other. It was no big deal. It was only about 4.5 minutes before we were to start the show.
I'm missing buttons this morning, which I just turned on, and they're fixed. Thank you for the report. I'm discombobulated this morning. I guess National Homemade Bread Day took too much out of me, David. I was going to, and I'm really pissed at myself because I was going to post a picture on X of my bread, which was fantastic, by the way.
Did you really make bread yesterday?
Yes, I made bread yesterday. We were out. Ran out on Sunday. I had 2 pieces left to make the daughter a sandwich for school on Monday, so I had to make bread yesterday.
I was surprised. I just flippantly said, come on, how many of you out there make bread? Wow. There's a lot of you that make bread. Very impressed. I'm surprised, but impressed.
I'll have to make a few loaves this week, David, because I've got to have the bread for the breadcrumbs for the stuffing for Thanksgiving.
Now that, I understand the Thanksgiving holiday that maybe somebody would do, but I was just asking regularly, weekly bread, and man, there's a lot of you that do it. I appreciate all the offers of, putting a loaf aside for me. I appreciate that. I do. Believe me. Wish I could take you up on it.
Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is always open. 21,000 is the number. The keyword is Miller. We are still, with a poll question. I mean, that's really where we are. Yeah, somewhere around there. Because all we have is, what do you think is the better job? Virginia Tech, or Arkansas. And we're not sure that's a good poll question in Blacksburg or Fayetteville.
I mean, I could get snarky. I don't know how many of you watched the game last night. We could ask whose hair is worse, Mark Davis's real hair, Jerry Jones' fake hair. They're
I happen to see
remarkably
the cutaway.
similar.
I happen to see the cutaway of Mark Davis. And I've got to be honest, there's something about him that I really like and would love to get a few minutes, not on air, at the owners' meeting at the back bar, not at the main bar, at the back bar, and just be able to ask Mark a few questions, because Mark appears, and look, there are a lot of rich people who also are able to do this, that despite the way he looks, he thinks he's got unbelievable game. You guys showed a cutaway of him, and it was with some entertainers, and they were all beautiful people. And then there's Mark Davis talking to these, three very attractive women. Like I'm in, man. Look, see, I've got all three of them that are just waiting to see what the next word is that I say. No, they're waiting for hundreds to fall out of your pants.
Wow. Is that where we keep our wallet these days?
Most people do keep their wallet in there. Most people that still carry wallets keep them in their pants.
Okay. You made it sound, though, as if they were coming from a different place in the pants than where most people keep their wallets, though. Maybe that's just how I took it. That's all. Could be. Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Can I ask two stupid questions? One, do you believe Ohio State's the best team? Or do you believe that they're a really talented team whose schedule has kind of fallen apart, and I'm not sure?
No, I believe they're the best team.
Okay.
I'll give you my reasons why very quickly. One, that defense is elite. They have studs
everywhere
on that defense. Everybody
everywhere
that you talk to, when you look at draft position and guys playing on Sunday, that defense is special. That is very well coached, too. Matt Patricia may not be a good head coach. He may not be a good offensive coordinator. The man knows how to coach defense.
I was going to say, we know that Matt Patricia is a defensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels is an offensive coordinator. They are both outstanding at what they do. If you put them in any other roles, they are not good at it, period. What impresses me, for what it's worth,
they have the best receivers in the country, too. This quarterback's getting better. He truly is. But their receivers are uncoverable.
Now, I'm going to try to not couch this, but just put this in proper perspective. They were playing Wisconsin the second time I saw Sayin, the Ohio State quarterback, play this year. But Wisconsin defensively is an above-average defense. It really is. Offensively, they're horrid. One of the 10 worst offenses in all of college football. But they're still pretty good defensively. Sayin looked like the first pick of a draft that Saturday. Every throw was right to his receivers' face masks. Every single one. Didn't matter if he was throwing to his left, long or short, to his right, long or short, over the middle of the field, deep and short. Every pass, if the receivers didn't put their hand up, we're going to hit him in the face. And Mark, he made a play for a touchdown in which he had pressure. They flushed him out to the right, granted, but still. And he threw a rope 45 yards to the back corner of the end zone. The defender was a foot behind the Ohio State receiver, and the pass would have hit the receiver in the face mask if he didn't put his hands up. It was like, whoa. That's Mahomes. That's Allen. That's damn. So I'm with you. I just wanted to ask the question. Now, Sundays. And we can go back to Saturdays, but just Sundays. Right now, my $20. Who's the best team in the NFL today? Got a long ways to go. That doesn't have to be the answer in mid-January. But today, who do you think the best team in the NFL is?
Man, that's a good question because I'm not really sure. I'm really not. Every good team to me has flaws. You know, I love what Sean Payton's done with the Broncos. I love their defense. I love their fourth quarters with Bo Nix. But they've played with their food so much this year, and they've won. I get it. But they don't have the playoff pedigree, so it's hard for me to trust them. The same with the Patriots. I love what the Patriots are doing, but it seems a year too early for the Patriots. I lean NFC, and right now I would say the Rams. If push came to shove, if you were to pin me in a corner and you're $20, as you say, I would go with the Rams. Close over the Eagles. And I know the Eagles beat them. I get it. And that's going to be a big damn deal because it looks like all roads are going through Philadelphia. The Rams have played them really tough there twice, but they've come up short.
Eagles and Rams tied in the standings, but the Eagles, obviously, with the head-to-head win, they're the 1 seed, and the Rams would be the 2 seed this morning. Just like how big is the head-to-head Indianapolis win over the Broncos, which was a controversial win because Indy missed a 60-something yard field goal at the gun to lose, only for Denver to be called for climbing over the center. And, did they really? Was the guy blocked into him? Anyway, 15 yards. They moved that sucker up. Indy kicks like a 47-yarder at the gun, and there you go. Colts win. How big is that result going to be 6 or so weeks from now? But
I actually think it's a lot bigger than we talk about because I don't know if you said it. I don't know if Pat said it. I don't know if I heard it somewhere else, but we don't ever, in basketball, when teams go to play the Nuggets, we talk about the altitude. We don't seemingly talk about it with the Broncos the same way. It is a difference in the second half, in the fourth quarter, if they're hosting that game.
Anybody see Chris Jones in the fourth quarter Sunday? Chris Jones was on one knee on the sidelines for a good chunk of the quarter, exhausted. And I'll give this, Chris Jones played his butt off, played his best game of the year. He was a force Sunday. But fourth quarter, yeah, in the altitude, for a big guy, that could be a problem. Here's what I'm just kind of getting at, what I'm kind of throwing out there. Like right now, Alabama, they lost to Oklahoma. Mark, if they were to make the playoff today, Alabama would not get a home game. They went from having a bye to probably now not getting a home game. Yet how many people, just kind of like, remember, Ohio State was the 8 seed last year and rolled in 4 games. In the NFL, like Alabama on Saturdays, would you bet the Ravens right now? 4 down and seemingly a whole lot more to come because the Ravens have gotten healthy. And what did we say before the season started, Mark?
It was the best roster in the league. It was the best roster in the league.
So, Lions 6-4, Ravens 5-5.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
At the Diamond District, we know what you want.
Experience wall-to-wall diamonds during our diamond event, November 21st through 23rd.
This is our biggest event of the year, featuring an expanded collection of GIA certified diamonds, designer jewelry, and exclusive collections from Tacori.
This is the perfect time to start your holiday shopping.
More diamonds, more choices. November 21st through 23rd, only at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
What about what young quarterback do you want to build your team around right now?
In college or
Pro. Would Drake May win automatically if you went May, Caleb, Nix?
probably.
Even Jaden Daniels. I know he's hurt.
Mine is, Ryan. It was up 2 weeks ago. No. Was it? No.
You know, Ryan, it's a good
10 days
poll
ago.
question. It just depresses me so damn much that it's.
It is a good poll question, though. Yeah, ours has been up 10 days.
Oh, yeah, Drake May, Jackson. I mean, do you take Drake May off and you go Caleb, Jackson, Dart?
You could ask a Caleb Williams question. Are you convinced Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback? How about Bryce Young?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Approaching 21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. We're getting involved in an interesting discussion during the commercial break. And if you take us in via twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton or on the Miller and Moulton YouTube channel, you were a part of it. For the others, first off, we have people who continue to recommend poll questions for us, and we're appreciative of that because we struggle with it. And we admit it. It's a weakness. But I like the one, is your Christmas tree up yet?
Well, hell, then it's going up. If you like it, it's going up. Do you know why? Because I don't have to think about it anymore.
Also, Mark's just trying to be nice to me because he picked up 4 games in the standings on our head-to-head picks on NFL games this week. Mark's back in first place. 2 weeks ago, he was 5 back. So, Mark's is like, man, my co-host sucks. I got to be nice to him. He doesn't know a damn thing about football.
By the way, I did put the poll question, is your Christmas tree up yet? And the choices are yes and hell no.
Well, I'm a yes. 10 days ago, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X.
All right. I'm going to go somewhere that you probably hate that I'm going.
Okay.
Just give me a minute.
I will.
Because I don't think you care very much about this award, even though there was a time you voted on it.
Right.
Are we given, it appears right now that Mendoza from Indiana has won the Heisman. We're giving him the Heisman based on 2 great catches. They were good throws. They were better catches. That kid getting his foot down in the end zone had nothing to do with that quarterback.
I don't agree with your premise.
Right now, he is minus 115 to win the Heisman. He is the only one that you're paying juice. Sand from Ohio State is plus 225. Reed from A&M is plus 500. And then we go to Pavia from Vanderbilt and Gunnar Stockton. Jeremiah Love is actually 7th right now. He might be the best offensive player in college football this year. And based on these odds, wouldn't even get to New York.
I don't agree with your premise because to me, I think the Heisman, and I'm trying to think of a scenario in the next 2 weeks which could change the scenario I'm about to lay out. Don't you think the Heisman's going to be awarded to the quarterback who has the best performance in the Big Ten championship game?
Could be.
If Sayin and Ohio State beat Mendoza in Indiana, don't you think the Ohio State kid wins the Heisman?
I think it depends on how the game goes. I do.
Well, okay, but that's what I said. Don't you think, it's possible that, that the losing quarterback could be terrific. Okay. And I do think Mendoza will have the lead heading into the game for the Heisman. But I've seen Heisman's lost conference championship Saturday. I mean, Tua's name was engraved on the Heisman. And he was terrible. And Hurts had to come in and bail him and Alabama out in the third quarter of the SEC title game. And Kyler Murray ran away with the award. I mean, that thing was done at 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern that Saturday. Tua was winning the Heisman. And 2 hours later, it was like, well, we can't give it to Tua. Who do we want to give it to? Can I just say this? He's not going to win the Heisman. I hope he gets invited to New York. But if Pavia and Vandy run the table, including beating Tennessee in what will be probably the biggest Vandy-Tennessee game in 50 years, to post a 10-2, if we had a most valuable player award, would you give it to Diego Pavia? Like, is there anyone in college football more valuable to their team than Pavia?
David, I may argue the running back from Notre Dame.
Okay, and that's fine.
I mean, I might argue the running back from Notre Dame.
Fair.
You know, Julian Sands having a great year. He is a terrific quarterback, and he's going to get drafted and all of those things. He's not the best player on his own team.
No.
He's not the second best player on his own team.
Mark, he may not be the sixth best player on his own team. And by the way, folks, they're going to be really good next year. They're going to lose a couple guys. They're going to lose a receiver. They're going to lose Caleb Downs. They got most of that team coming back. Unless they're getting offered more money elsewhere. I mean, so just be ready. Ohio State's starting a run here. I mean, a highest level run. Had a natty last year, could very well enter the tournament undefeated number 1 seed this year. They're going to be really good next year.
They are. I will say, I don't even think he's going to get to New York. And I don't know if there's a way for him to get there unless he completely demolishes Georgia Tech. But what Gunnar Stockton has done this year, I do think needs to be noticed. Not only has he been really good and been getting better all year long, he's been unconscious in the fourth quarter. He's been the best fourth quarter quarterback in the country. That is how we measure these guys, by the way.
Yeah, they had a stat that they were throwing out there yesterday against like 4 ranked teams.
I've got it in front of me, David, against Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas, and Tennessee. In the fourth quarter, Gunnar Stockton's 23 of 26 with 262 yards and 6 touchdowns. Is that any good? I don't know.
It seems pretty good.
Did get a text from one of our mutual friends there, more mine than yours, but he once said Pavia is the best player in the country. No? And then chased it with, oh, blank, I agree with David.
Sorry about that, sir. I'll try not to do that anymore. My bad. So just now the Heisman Trophy is supposed to be, quote, awarded to the best player in college football that season, unquote. We know that's not what the award has become. The award has largely, not every year, but largely become the award given to the starting quarterback on one of the top 3 teams in the country. Because you're right. When I asked who's the most valuable player, and I made my case for the Vanderbilt quarterback, you said, well, how about the Notre Dame running back? Well, how about the Georgia Tech quarterback? Especially if he were to beat Georgia.
And Mendoza probably makes that list. He's incredibly valuable to Indiana. They would not be where they are without him. But I guess we talked about this a little earlier this week. The win against Oregon was tremendous. Outside of that, that's been the best game in the Big Ten this year.
Well, and you could argue, if not that, it was the Indiana-Penn State game, so obviously he's been involved in both.
No, you're right. I mean, at that time, winless in conference, Penn State.
Right, but a very talented team. We all acknowledge that. I mean, what's gone on this year is remarkable. I mean, unforeseen. You should listen to the coaches and players at Penn State, by the way. They're in shock. They really are. They're like, we have no idea how this happened. We're trying too. I mean, we still care. Remarkable. Pat Kirwan in a half an hour. I'm Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
It's been a long week already. It's Tuesday. I'll tell you what, Aurora, your Commanders should be able to get a really good offensive lineman where they're going to draft.
Boy, you guys are quick to make judgments. Okay, could we let him come back next year and get hurt again and then have a coach lose confidence on him and try to replace him? And I mean, come on now.
I agree with you, Aurora. So where would you, if, the Commanders look like they're going to pick in the top, 10 picks in the draft, would you take best edge or best O lineman? I'd protect my investment at quarterback and get the best tackle I could, but I wouldn't argue with you if you said get best edge.
Yeah, I think I'd draft the kid out of Miami.
If he's there.
I don't know how many more games Washington's going to win.
No, but if Tennessee's picking first, they could take Payne.
Could. I mean, the funny thing is, it could be Tennessee and the Giants picking 1 and 2.
You beat me to it. I'm with you. No, I think Raheem's job's over, Fly Panda Fly. I think that ship has sailed.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan will join us at the top of the hour on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So what are our poll questions again? Do we have 2 now?
No. We just have the Christmas tree proposal, or poll question, rather.
So you didn't go with Arkansas Vatech?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Fair enough.
It's Arkansas and VAR. Do you think the 9th or 10th best job in the SEC or the 5th or 6th best job in the ACC is the better job? I just decided to opt out.
Okay. All right.
I decided to opt out. Much like Michigan publicly said that they were against this private equity that appeared to be bulldozing its way towards the Big Ten. But yesterday, the UC Investments, which is the group that was going to buy a private equity share in the Big Ten,
right,
issued a statement saying that they need some more time, that they're pulling back for the moment. But Michigan, I mean, I don't want to say they went to the nuclear option, but they came pretty close. People at Michigan literally said out loud, If this deal goes through, we may opt out of the conference in 2036. That's how big and how bad Michigan thought this deal was.
I don't think USC's far behind. Because first off, there's parts to this joining the Big Ten that ain't working for USC to begin with.
Right. But, I mean, USC didn't like it. You're right. The Board of Regents chair at Michigan called the proposal a payday loan.
Right. Right.
Another board member suggested Michigan could go independent. I mean, USC voiced their displeasure. They didn't call it a payday loan, nor did they say they were going to go independent. I find this story fascinating because, by all accounts, it's a short-term cash grab for the Big Ten. Now, think about that. It was $2.4 billion being suggested. And they're saying it's a payday loan. And Michigan, of all the schools out there, they don't need the money, everyone.
Right.
They don't.
Correct. Which is what Michigan and USC, and to some extent Ohio State, have told Tony Petitti. Ohio State's not necessarily a yes. They're not a no, but they really don't want to do this. But if literally the Big Ten lined everybody else up, Ohio State wouldn't stand in the way of the deal. But they don't feel that they need it. They, along with Michigan and USC, feel this is a loan that the other schools in the conference need to pay off debts. Can I have a question? I know I've said this before. Could somebody out there, could somebody who's part of a private equity, could somebody who's staggeringly rich and listens to this show and has never, ever texted us before, go to 21,000 keyword Miller and text and answer this question? How in the world does the private equity firm get their investment back? That's all they're about. There's two kinds of marketing: sales, in which the cash register needs to ring, or you just want to get your name out, marketing, image, and what have you. Yeah, private equity ain't about that. Private equity is about cash, profit. Could somebody explain to me how they're going to get their money back? And if you can, isn't it at the expense of all the schools in the conference?
There you go. Because essentially, the Big Ten would become immediately a 19-team conference.
Right.
The 18 member teams and private equity. And going forward with any new media deals, they're going to get theirs.
And I wonder, if you're giving them that much money, Mark, are you not just the 19th team? Are you 19 and 20?
I think you're closer to that. Like Tim in our chat room says, I'm a Big Ten guy. USC leave, Michigan grow up. No, I actually think Michigan's right here. I think this is a great short-term move for the Big Ten. Long-term, I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I think
you need to figure out how to pay. This is basically and maybe I'm just dumb, David. You and I, we don't have a lot of money. We both wish that we did. But this, to me, is like spending a bunch of money on a credit card and then having to pay the interest that you can't afford. That's the only way that I interpret this. I don't see, and I know for the Minnesotas and the Michigan States and the Marylands and the Rutgers that they think this solves their short-term problems, because most of these schools are running at a debt with their athletics, even with all of the money coming in, because they're trying to figure out how to spend that $20 million that they're allowed to pay players now. That hit them, and somehow they didn't see it coming, and they financially weren't ready for it. But I applaud Michigan and USC for standing up to this, because I don't think it's the right move for the Big Ten. I think this is a bunch of ADs that aren't going to be there in 10, 15 years trying to save their hide now.
I mean, if the Big Ten were a company, I think I'd understand it, because in theory, wouldn't the hedge fund be coming in saying, listen, we're going to invest in your company, but we're going to also then take the money and we're going to invest it in better places than where you're investing. We're going to make more money with now our money. That's how we're going to get our money back. Because help me out here. Otherwise, they're investing in the Big Ten. So what? The Big Ten can get a significantly better TV deal 6 years down the road and give all that money to the private investment company? They're getting $1 billion a year from Fox, and then Fox is sub-licensing the Big Ten to CBS and NBC. Trust me when I tell you that CBS and NBC are losing a boatload of money on the Big Ten and have no interest in re-upping at the current rate 6 years from now. Okay, so I just don't understand how this works financially for the people that are giving $2.4 billion. Not $2.4 million, not $24 million, not $240 million. You don't just have to make your money back. And by the way, my understanding is, Mark, they want their money back within 10 years.
Right.
This ain't a 40-year mortgage. That's apparently new, the 40 and 50-year mortgage. But it ain't a 20-year mortgage. It's not even signed for a 30-year and cut it to 15. I just don't know how they get their money back.
Here's my bigger question to you, David, because now that this isn't seemingly going through this time, how many schools will change their mind completely and not do it? And if that happens, how sure are you of the future of Tony Petitti running the Big Ten? I mean, is this going to be the hill that he dies on? And if he doesn't get it?
I'd be shocked if this was the hill that Tony Petitti died on, even though it's clearly he's the one driving the bus.
Right.
But no, because, Mark, think about it. Mark, I mean, listen, there are Big Ten people who have a thing against USC. Mark, who are the three biggest schools in the Big Ten? From a TV network standpoint, who are the three biggest schools for Fox? Who does Fox view as the big three in the Big Ten?
I actually think it's Michigan, Ohio State, and USC.
I do too.
I mean, I didn't know where you were, but it's Michigan, Ohio State, and USC.
And two of them are a no, and the third has said publicly they're more no than yes. So how, if you're Tony Petitti, can you make this the hill that you die on when basically the big three in your conference are against it? You're going to side with the other 15?
And think about it. If they don't sign it, and all three of them in 2036, when the grant of rights is up, says we're leaving and go independent, go super conference, go to the SEC. I don't give a damn. But if you lose Michigan, Ohio State, and USC, what is the Big Ten? Really? What is the Big Ten? They've had a handful of important games all year already anyhow, compared to the SEC. Like, you don't need those schools. They're what's keeping you propped up. They're the reason you got the TV deals that you got.
I'm not a big lawsuit guy. Sorry for all the lawyers out there that want to advertise. We'll gladly take your money. Okay, I'm not saying that what you do isn't good. And
hey, if you want to join, I'll sue David if it helps you bring something on.
But I'm just not. I've had opportunities to sue, and I never have. Okay, I'm just not, including in a wrongful death case, and I opted out of it. Okay, just not my thing. But a buddy of mine's a USC fan. He texted me about this over the weekend. If you're USC or Michigan, what would you do here? And I said, I'd sue. And you have to understand, coming for whatever it's worth and whatever you think of me, all right, that's like 2 of the last 5 words, if you know me at all, that you'd expect to hear from me in life. I'd sue. But I would if I was USC or Michigan, Mark. I really would.
But the deal has been put on hold for now.
Yeah.
On hold.
Right.
Because remember, there are still 15 teams in the Big Ten that really believe they need this money. Michigan doesn't need it. USC doesn't need it. Ohio State doesn't need it. The rest of the conference, they think this is their way to keep up with the Joneses. I think it's a terrible idea. But this isn't going away. Now, the Big 12, they looked at private equity and said no. The ACC really hasn't looked at it at all, and the SEC really hasn't seriously looked at it at all. But Petitti wants this. And typically when you're running a conference or a league, you get what you want. I mean, we have to look at Petitti and Sankey the same way, or damn near the same way we look at Goodell and Manford and Silver and Bettman. I mean, they're running huge corporations. And the guy running the corporation known as the Big Ten wants private equity.
But Tony Petitti did say publicly, he said we could never go forward with a deal like this without it being unanimous, which I happen to agree with that line of reasoning. This would be a major step. You're selling off part of the conference. And yeah, you need to all be in lockstep on this move. Never mind that 2 of your big 3 or big 4, if not all 3 of your big 3 or big 4 are against it. I don't see how that's a good long-term survival technique. I don't.
Miller and Moulton. Pelican Roofing of Florida. Text line is always open. 21,000 is the number. David uttered the words, I'd sue. That's something he doesn't ever say. Texter, other things David Moulton doesn't say. I'm not in the mood for fast food today.
It's true. By the way, the other 3 words, if there are 5 words that I'd never say, I'd sue, I'm not hungry. Right. Those are the 5 words you're most likely never to hear from me on or off Miller and Moulton.
If you're hungry for more NFL talk, Pat Kirwan coming up in about 8 minutes' time. We'll look back at the week in the National Football League, gets Pat's perspective on some strange games to me. The Chargers not showing up, I still can't get over how badly they were whooped by Jacksonville. The Chiefs, they're out right now. The Ravens, they're out right now. The Lions, they're out right now. Which of them will be in when it's all said and done? We'll ask that and many other questions of Pat Kirwan. He's next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton
The
sent you.
2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hello, Pat.
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I am doing well. I am just recovering from my trip to Denver. That was an interest. I got a chance really to stand literally on the Kansas City bench for most of the game, and it was just kind of revealing what's going on and how shaky they might be right now. But it reminded me of the old days, Mark, because I watched the defensive line. Remember Elway had all the records for comeback wins and fourth quarter, all that stuff. They could not rush the passer in the fourth quarter. At altitude, they were gassed. And they would just, poor Jones, he tried hard, but he was leaning on the guards. They couldn't do it. I just felt like it was how it was when we tried to play Elway. We brought 10 defensive linemen thinking we could rotate them through real fast and try to stay. We couldn't do it, and they couldn't do it either. They might be pretty dangerous at home, Denver Broncos. It was a fun day, though.
And, it's funny. I'm looking at, and I don't know how accurate it is, but the app that I use to get that I keep up, it's called Score. They have a little strength of schedule thing next to it. I don't know where they get it from, but the Broncos 29th, the Patriots 31st, the Colts 28th.
Yeah.
So, you look at the rest of the way, the one's still very much up for grabs.
Yes, I think the one is. But it's kind of, if you think about the label that Bo Nix is getting, it's about the fourth quarters. And it's about, they're kind of flimsy early on, and then he gets going. I'm telling you, I'd like to I'll probably do a little on this afternoon on how many of those were at home, because he really had his way at the, because he could have a little bit of happy feet. I watched him early, and I watched enough of him getting ready, but he knew they couldn't get to him, and it was pretty damn dangerous. Anyway, I was laughing a little bit about, what is it? Words David would never say.
I'd sue. I'm not hungry.
Yes. Well, I'm going to add one when we go on the air.
Okay.
Yes. After all these years, I'm entitled to have one of my own for you.
I like it.
Lord. How was your weekend, David? Traveling around?
Well, I mean, it's not easy getting to Vegas and getting home, and then Eugene and Frisco, and then Seattle and LA and Boston. I mean, it's going to add up here. But
yeah,
I did have a really nice Sunday at a sports book, and I didn't place a single bet. But I had never done that before. I always wanted to just do a day at a sports book and take it in. And the loudest cheer of the day, with 6 games decided on the last play of the game, the loudest cheer of the day was when Seattle scored with 2:50 to go, getting 2.5 to trail by 2. Loudest roar of the day.
Well, it is interesting. I've never done that, but I've walked by. I just feel like I don't want to be seen in there, and but I've walked by in Vegas, and the enthusiasm level, even at Monmouth Racetrack, when they have the betting there, those guys,
right.
And what fascinates me is the amount of women that are in those places.
Yeah, there were a ton.
They love it.
Yeah. A lot of stimulation, obviously. Huge screens. Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home on this Tuesday of Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. That's halfway home in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples. Final hour of the show, Live Oak Lake City and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. Pat Kirwan joins us at this day and time every week. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers. Holiday season, get your gift cards. Go to pinchersusa.com, find the shop button, and get your gift cards for Pinchers, Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. So how was your trip to Denver?
Very good. It was kind of like the first day of recovery in the airline business. So I had to go out commercial, and I flew back with Coach Cowher on his jet, which worked out great. There was a lot of wind in the Northeast, but we had a good time. That part of it has to be part of the equation when answering your question. The game had everything you wanted, and really, Sean Payton. I saw Sean on Sunday morning for a little while, and we were talking, and he was serious about his concept of if we hold them to field goals, those are he called them they're 4-point plays for us. And he goes, they're real good in the red zone, and if they get going like they usually do, we're going to have a problem. But if we hold them to field goals, which at the halftime was 6-6, he goes, we'll be in this thing waiting for the fourth quarter. And then I said to you guys off the air before we started, standing on the sideline for the game on the Kansas City side, it was appreciated my position because it felt like the old days with Elway. The guys who rushed the passer just could not rush in the fourth quarter. They were out of gas from altitude. And you can see how Denver understands how to play at home with that stuff. And I remember us taking 10 pass rushers to Denver to try to stop Elway, and we couldn't rotate them fast enough. And Chris Jones and Omenihu and those guys at the end of the fourth quarter, they were you could just see them leaning on the guards. They weren't getting any separation. And I think as soon as Knicks knew they were gassed and weren't coming, he became extremely dangerous, which I think a lot of guys would. I'm not taking anything away from him, but we don't talk about altitude at Denver much anymore. Remember the old days? We always talked about it, but we don't do it anymore. And I had a chance to relive the nightmare called Denver in the fourth quarter when they're throwing.
All right. Well, help me out with this, because I've got you on the fourth quarter. Denver's been amazing, and they've won all the close games, so they deserve all the credit in the world for it. Was their ability to keep Kansas City to 3 points before that the Denver defense, or were there flaws in the Kansas City offense? When you look at Kansas City, how broken are they?
Well, their problem is the same problem they've had since I met you, Mark, and really since Andy Reid went to Kansas City, and even when he was in Philly. He doesn't like running the ball. And yes, Pacheco wasn't playing, but Kareem Hunt, as always, was playing well. But 13 runs by him, to me, wasn't enough. I thought they had to do more with it, and I thought it would be more effective. Early in the game, which I kind of loved, they were taking deep shots, a lot of them, and overthrowing the ball. The first 4, I think, went overthrown in the receivers, and they got a lot of speed on the receiver group. So Jim Biller brought it up yesterday. He said, look, I played in Denver a couple times. You think the air is an issue rushing the passer. It's an issue throwing the ball. And the ball can sail on you. And it looked like that might have been part of it. But Mahomes has a lot of experience there, so I discounted it. But Jim just said, I'm just telling you, throwing the ball there, you got to work on it a lot, and you got to understand that it's going to take off. And I said to him, that kind of reminds me, I did play golf out there, and I've never been a 300-yard driver until I got there.
I'll tell you what, though, Denver played them man-to-man basically the whole game.
Yep.
And the observation that I had was Kansas City threw 10 deep balls because their thought was, A, we might complete a couple of these, which they did. B, we might get a couple of big PIs, which they did. And I'm guessing that's how Denver's going to play Kansas City in Arrowhead and maybe again in the playoffs. That's a, live by the sword, die by the sword play, Pat. I mean, like you talked about in the first quarter, Worthy was open first series of the game for a touchdown.
Yep.
Mahomes overthrew him. I mean, so, I give Denver credit. There are not many teams that could take that approach against the Chiefs, but it's a dangerous approach. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree with you, and I think it'll be different. The results will be different at Kansas City. I was about to say at sea level, but I think that it was the right way to play it up there. I don't know that they would continue to do that, but I think there's other things they left on the table. To Mark's point, they left the running game on the table, which is predictable, and they really didn't go towards Kelsey in the first half at all. In the second half, he started wearing them out with the short stuff and little V-in routes and all that business. They had a misread on one, which turned into an interception. Mahomes thought he was, and everyone likes to say it. I say it all the time that those two are wired together. They understand each other. That's why they run all those option routes. But the one time Kelsey took it inside, and I know Mahomes thought for sure he's going to run an out route, and he threw it right to the DB. So if you're in the option route principle, you can have those even with two guys that know each other that well. So again, they got to clean that up a little bit. But when they started going to him, when they got on that same page in the third quarter, it was very effective.
Hey, look, we talked about the Bucs being all banged up all year, but they were banged up offensively, and it was the O-line, and it was the running back, and it was the wide receiver. They put up 32 against Buffalo, and it wasn't close to enough. What's going on with Tampa Bay's defense, Pat?
Well, they are, if you just look at it from the other side of what was being done to them, it's easy to have a sound fundamental defense, and then all of a sudden you run into Josh Allen, who decides after the embarrassing loss last week, I'm going to be at home. They're brutally tough at home. I just think Josh Allen, we could call it 6 touchdowns if you want to look at it from that perspective. That guy he can break down any defense, because you really, if you start spying him, you're surrendering someone in coverage. And he can run past and over people. So I do think in the case of this game, Mark, I hear you loud and clear on what's going on maybe long-term with them. But I think when you're playing Josh Allen, there's really no defense if he's on his game that's structurally sound, because he's unsound, and you find yourself short all the time.
Pat, if I could just go back and go big picture.
Yep.
Like everybody knows I'm a Giants fan. The Giants had a really nice decade, the 80s and 1990. But midway through the 91 season, I said, oh, wow, they got old. They're old. And once you get old, it's it. It's over. You ain't getting younger. When you're looking at the Chiefs, do they still look like the Chiefs, if you know what I mean? Or are you looking at them now and going, yeah, they're not the same team in the last 7 years?
They are old. And again, the opportunity I had to be right behind the bench. I think the way I'd answer your question is that the defensive line is not young. Chris Jones was the big play guy in the postseason. not so much in the regular season. He's not the same guy. And they looked old to me on defense, which is a run group, right? You got to really fly to the ball. And up front, I would say that they have some age. They definitely have some age in the offensive line. And where they're not old in the offensive line, they're not very good. Or they're young. I'm telling you, in retrospect, if I was there and fighting for personnel decisions, I would have gotten rid of the right tackle no matter what his contract said probably 2 years ago. He's so afraid to line up legitimately on the line of scrimmage because he knows he's going to get beat when he does. He's constantly in trouble. And when he gets whistled, the next 2 or 3 plays, he lines up where he's supposed to be. And then they call him for holding. They could have called him for holding 8 or 10 times.
The Eagles, defensively, now they've turned into a team that, well, I mean, they were a good defense, but I don't know if it's just Phillips. I don't know if it's at this point Fangio's defenses get better. They completely shut Detroit down. Yeah, I know it was windy, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't run it. They couldn't throw it. The Eagles right now, I love what the Rams are doing and the physicality of that Rams-Seahawks game, but we have to stop and pause at what Philadelphia's defense is doing right now, don't we, Pat?
Yes. Well, I think you said a couple of things that I'm totally going to agree with. His defense does get better as the year goes on. I don't know if the big tackles come in shape. I think there's always rumors that they're not, and he's got to work them into shape. But they're a force. They've been a force in November, December before, and they look to me like they're going to be that. I think if I was Phillips, I'd love to be on a team where really you're so afraid of the inside too that you need 3 for them. And if you don't have 3 for them, they're coming and they're going to get there. So he's getting a lot of luxury rush plays, I'd call them, and he's smart enough to see what he has. And you go back to the days when we liked the Dolphin defense, and they had Christian Wilkins in there along with Raekwon. Was it Raekwon, the other guy? The 2 major size guys. And they had a big inside push. Now they have an inside push, and they went out and got the kind of guy that can handle it and do a good job of taking advantage of what his opportunities are. So I do like that from them. I think they have to be even better now. Maybe this is where we'd have a little disagreement. I think they have to be better now than they were for the Super Bowl because I don't think the offense is anywhere near what it was. Starting with Saquon in the run game and the offensive line. Now Lane Johnson's out. 2 things about Lane Johnson. 1, he's their best lineman, in my opinion, at his old age. And 2, he's kind of the glue that keeps everybody, on task. He's very serious about playing football. He's had his own issues in life, but he is, I think, without him on the field, it might go astray a little bit in the offensive line.
Don't you have to, and we've got less than a minute, don't you have to agree with the observation that going from Kellen Moore to the current offensive coordinator is hurting them?
Yes. And I don't know, yes, the answer is yes to that question. They've dealt with this so many times before, David, right?
Right. But it hasn't always worked. It's been hit or miss when they've had to make changes.
Right. For everybody in this league. And you sometimes can't replace talent for talent in the coaching staff. And I do think that, and it's kind of funny that it's Kellen Moore we're talking about, who's had his own level of criticism throughout his career. He gets fired in Dallas because he won't run the ball. And, Philly's done a great job. Howie's done a great job of having a list of the next coaches he wants to hire. He's on the coaching thing as much as he's on the player thing. We love to give him full credit, deservedly so.
More with Pat Kirwan right after this.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. GlassDoctor.com. CCC 1332512.
This year during Thanksgiving week, Fort Myers takes the national stage, hosting not one but two elite women's college basketball tournaments, the Fort Myers Tip-Off and Coconut Hoops, both featuring Power 4 teams and nationally ranked programs. Few places in the country can showcase this level of talent. We're proud that Fort Myers is one of them. Don't miss your chance. For tickets, go to visitfortmyers.com/basketball. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Boy, the week delivered, that's for sure.
What a week of football. It was.
And it was great. I know you don't do Saturdays this time of year. It was great on Saturday, right on through Sunday.
Yep. It's funny, Nate Burles and I were talking on the flight home, and I said to him, let me ask you, are you tired? Because I'm exhausted from these games. They were so intense, and you couldn't take your eyes off anything. It was like, as I say, riveting. He says, I'm more tired than usual, studying and watching these games and holding on to low, close games and late lead changes and everything else. It was very entertaining. The NFL, God bless them. They can do a lot of things wrong, but if they keep doing Sundays like that, I think we're going to have another good week. I wouldn't put it in last week's category, but there's some games that already got me going. We'll talk about that on Friday, I suppose. But
I know, Pat, you're right. I mean, Colts Chiefs a big game.
Yeah.
Every game in the NFC North is a big game, no matter who you're playing.
Yeah. It's even storylines that are meaningless become intriguing. Like, I don't care about Shedeur Sanders, but you wouldn't believe how many people are calling about Shedeur Sanders. Like, just that alone, stuff like that. Dallas is going to now think they're pretty good with the Quinn Williams and all that. They're going to play Philadelphia in Dallas. Jerry will be out of his mind talking about that, So yeah, it's great. And as always, I say this, and I think you guys are in the same boat I'm in. Try to find on Labor Day. Try to find 5 teams that are going to make the playoffs that didn't make it last year, and I can never do it. But right now, if they started, we got 5 of them. Dead on. 5 teams that weren't in a year ago are now in for the moment, which is what the league loves.
It is fascinating right now, though. Vegas still thinks Detroit's going to win. The Detroit's the betting favorite in the North right now. The Packers are second. The Bears are third.
That's my. If I was a bettor, I'd be betting on Detroit winning the division. I would.
I'm just going to throw this out there. It may be me overanalyzing a 3-car funeral again, but the Bears fall behind. They get the huge kickoff return, which puts them damn near in field goal range. They're right on the edge before they snap the ball once. They did not throw a pass. They handed it off 3 times. The game was on the line. They were borderline in field goal range. He had already missed a 45-yard field goal. And Ben Johnson handed the ball off 3 times, got his 7 yards, and kicked the field goal. I just find it interesting. He did not put the ball in Caleb Williams' hands when the game was on the line.
Yeah, well, no one knows Caleb better than him.
Right.
And
I just find that interesting.
Yep. Well, I think what I'll respond to the interesting word. What it tells me on the interesting level is he can't win the big game with that kid yet. Because there's going to be games where he's going to have to throw, and he won't have the luxury of doing what he just did. And the kid, I don't know that he can do it. It's a lot to ask him. I mean, last year he was a disaster. He's significantly improving.
Significantly, yes.
But he's not ready for, and most of them never are ready early. You know, it's a miracle, like the kid over in the Daniels in Washington last year, all the way to the championship game. He was a different guy then, and he's hurt now. But not many guys are like that. It's good to be on today. It's kind of, I got up so early this morning. Kind of, you know, when you fly back, you're kind of like out of whack. I was real tired last night, and I was 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, I better start working on the matchups. I go, what the fuck's wrong with me? Excuse my language. But I was like, I said, I can't wait to get on with these guys 8 o'clock and get my brain talking to someone besides myself, because I'm sitting there talking to myself.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains and CBS's NFL Today show. Pat's weekly appearances are brought to you courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. All right, quickly, you teased our Twitch and YouTube audience before your appearance. It's been determined on this show the 5 words that you'll never hear me say. I'd sue, I'm not hungry. You said there's a 6th word. What is it?
Well, it's 5 words, and this is it. As you were describing the things you'd never say, I know this fits the bill, and Mark and I know better than to use them. And it is this: Hi, my name is Dave. You'd never say that. And every time I've called you Dave, the only person, apparently me and your mom, call you Dave, but I can't break the habit of it. And I was thinking, I respond verbally to Pat, PK, Patrick, Patty, you name it. I just respond. I'm like a dog that has 6 or 7 names. But when I say Dave, and in the first few years we were friends, it was like, no, it's David. And I'm going, okay, I know me. I won't. I'm a coach. If I break into a nickname, I won't change. Hi. As I heard you talking about eating and everything, I'm going, hi, my name is Dave.
No. And I will back it. Mom doesn't like it either. Mom likes David. I do know that for a fact. I've worked with him long enough. What the hell happened between the Jags and the Chargers? Of all of the results, look, I'm wrong a lot. I get it. But after the way they blew the game against Houston, I had no faith in the Jags. I had lost faith in Trevor Lawrence. And they come out and look fantastic in that game. What happened?
Well, I don't trust the Jaguars to continue to play like that. On a simplistic level, I'll just go to the other side and say the Chargers were last week's Buffalo Bills in Miami, which I think, Mark, you asked me the same question. Where were they? They didn't show up. You know, so it's hard to explain, but I do think teams either are overconfident or they have they get fooled once in a while. And Jacksonville, to me, will not be able to play well enough to make it. They're sitting in the 7th seed. I don't think they'll hold on to the spot. I bet you I could get both of you to agree that they will not make it.
Well, we were on board with that last week. We were even on board with it 2 weeks ago. But now the math is getting significantly harder for the Chiefs. They're a game behind, and Jacksonville owns the tiebreaker and will own the tiebreaker no matter what. And Jacksonville's schedule is significantly softer than Kansas City's. We think Kansas City has to get to 10 because of tiebreakers. They lose them all to everybody they're chasing. And you look at their schedule, Pat, 5-2 will be very challenging.
Yes. So how about some odd, and I don't discuss this very often because I don't look at it that way, but after you said that, why can't Houston catch Jacksonville? And why can't Pittsburgh, when they lose the division lead to Baltimore, fall down and knock out Jacksonville?
That's the one, Pat. As we kind of went through it yesterday, when I threw that at David, he went, ooh, that's one I didn't give as much thought, because I will say Houston has a far more difficult schedule than even Kansas City the rest of the way. But Pittsburgh having the right 10 versus Jacksonville's 10 would be interesting to me of how a tiebreaker would fall together if the Ravens do indeed catch them by the end of the season. Right now, Rams or Eagles, who do you trust more in the NFC?
It's a great question. I think I like Stafford. If it came down to, which it does a lot, the quarterback play, I trust Stafford more than Jalen. Jalen, to me, let's go back to when he tried to win a Super Bowl without Saquon. He didn't do it. Now, I think Stafford, if you shut his running game down, could still get you. I am not so sure. If you overplay Saquon and say, go ahead and beat me, Jalen, I think I bet on Stafford over Jalen. You guys probably disagree with me, but that's how I see it.
Well, no, because I think the Eagles' offense is a little, I don't know if it's broken, but it's not properly set up. And the offensive coordinator is not like the defensive coordinator who has a track record. So can the offensive coordinator get fixed what right now isn't working? If he doesn't, it's difficult to see that team, no matter how good they are, getting back to the Super Bowl, scoring 16 points a game the way they have been seemingly for a month. I'll say this, Pat. Sam Darnold throws 4 interceptions, and the Seahawks have a chance to win that game on the last play.
Yep.
I mean, that speaks volumes as to the rest of that team.
It does. And we are discussing 2 teams, but I would still prefer at some point to have this discussion, including Detroit, because I still think they can be extremely dangerous. Now, the offensive line there is beat up too, but I wouldn't sell them short in a big game. And again, I'll talk to Dan Campbell, but I'll bring it up right to Dan. I've done it before. Would you get someone to control your 4th down passion, please, and not do all that? And he said once to me that he said, I gotta get that under control, but he's so passionate about it. I don't know. He did a great job one week calling plays, 44 points, but the next week, where were they? So I still think Detroit can be a real problem for people. And I don't think Seattle's out of the debate here.
Thank you. That's right where I was going to go, Pat. They play the Rams one more time. Their schedule's a hell of a lot easier than the Rams getting into the barn.
Yep. Not a big fan of the 49ers, even though they're playing well and they got 7 wins. I get it. I just think they're beat up. And if you can clog up McCaffrey, you probably got a really good chance. But I think Seattle, it's almost the way you said it, David, that they were in a chance to win the game with 4 interceptions kind of scares you, because what if he only throws 1? What are they going to do to the Rams if he doesn't throw 4 interceptions?
Carolina's still got 2 games left with Tampa. Are you buying anything of what the Panthers are doing right now, or is it just a matter that they've beaten some bad teams? I know they lost to the Saints. That could kill them in the end. And they have the Falcons number. But when you look at the Panthers, are you going, hey, there's a little more there than we think, or is it just no?
Well, I would have answered. If you asked me last week, I would have said I'm not counting on those guys, because all they were was a run team. Then all of a sudden the quarterback throws for 445 or something. So I'm not a big fan of Bryce Young, but I got to give him his credit. Over 400 yards passing. And Rico and the boys didn't get their normal running stuff. So do they have, and I'm asking as a question, do they have a second way to get you now? I'm not so sure, but that rookie receiver, And I remember you guys telling me about him from your college work last year, McMillan kid. He looks elite at times.
Carolina with a chance to show that they're for real Monday night. They're in San Francisco against the Niners. They win that because the Bucs are likely to lose to the Rams this week. They win that, they'd be in first. And remember, that loss to the Saints is going to put them behind in the tiebreaker scenario, even if they split with the Bucs. So, Carolina's got to make up a game somewhere. They have a chance Monday night. We got about 60 seconds left. Anything that you came into today wanting to say that you haven't said?
Yeah. Let me just look at one or two games here.
60 seconds.
Yeah, we talked about the Chicago Bears. If you listen to Jim Miller, he thinks they've passed the threshold of being respectable and good. He thinks they're going to make it. I don't. How about you guys? They're the 3 seed right now. Does that hold up? I don't think so.
I think Detroit still wins the division.
Yeah. David?
I think it comes down to Bears or Niners for the final wild card.
Okay, with 20 seconds left, Sirianni and his 4th down call. Ugh.
5 seconds.
I give a thumbs down to Sirianni's 4th down decisions.
Miller and Moulton.
Kirwan. Miller and Moulton.
Let's talk the big difference between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, left to I know you didn't ask me, but I think there's a world where the conferences cease to exist anymore, where they don't exist for football and they only exist for the other sports. It's not ideal, but I could see it. Joe, I don't know if Mark agrees. I could see 30, 40, 48 schools forming their own football venture in which they say, not for the other sports. For the other sports, we're still in the Big Ten and the SEC and what have you. But I could see the haves eliminating the have-nots from the process in the conference. We have said the only way we see it staying together through the 2030s is if the have-nots, the second-tier schools in the major conferences, agree to take less money. That we don't think Alabama and LSU and Georgia are going to continue to split things evenly with Missouri and Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. And the same could be said in the Big Ten.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. What's our poll question again today?
Do you have your tree up yet?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, mine's been up 10 days.
I don't know if it's me or the computer or the Wi-Fi inside this building, but I think X is having a problem this morning.
I think so, too. There have been a few times where I've tried to go on it and have been told that basically we ain't giving you nothing.
Right. So,
yeah,
it's a hell of a poll question. You know, I know you don't care much, but I do think it's funny how fans are. And I'm going to use a baseball reference to get to, because all fans can get this way. But when you've just given up, because game day was in Pittsburgh, and I watched because that's where my wife's from, and the beginning of it, McAfee, who's from Pittsburgh, does this, whole thing talking about the city. And he comes right away and he starts talking about Skeens being the best player in baseball, blah, blah, blah. The crowd immediately started chanting, "Sell the team." I mean, within seconds. He didn't ask them for it. He brought up the Pirates early, and he did this 3-minute thing on the Pittsburgh teams. He started with the Pirates. He went to the Pens, and then he went to the Steelers. I mean, it was a well done bit. But when he brought the Pirates up, the crowd, without hesitation, it wasn't a third of the crowd. It was all of the crowd chanting, "Sell the team." That was crazy to me.
Hey, we've seen it closer to home, but when a fan base turns on ownership, the only thing, or maybe two things, and one of them has to happen. If you start winning, the fans will, stop making noise. They may still not be happy with you, but they're at least glad that you're winning. Or you got to go spend some money. And if it doesn't work out, okay, that can happen. But in professional sports, when the fan base is angry at you, we just had a situation in Dallas where for 9 months, the fan base was like, you got to fire the GM. We ain't going to support this team like you want us to support the team unless you fire the guy who traded Luka. Now, they seem to be ignoring the fact that it seems as if that order came from high above, and Nico Harrison took the fall and got fired 9 months later. Can't wait till the day that comes that he talks. You don't think when he lands somewhere else and he gets a job that when he gives his first sit-down interview, he says, I find it funny they fired me for doing exactly what they told me to do.
All right. Can I just ask you a question on that? There's no way he trades Luka without permission to trade Luka.
Correct.
But are we sure it was the owner's idea and not the GM who said, hey, I mean, you hire a GM to be your basketball guy. You really think the owner said, get rid of my superstar? Or do you think the GM said, I think we should get rid of it, and he supported it?
I think that the GM went to the ownership and said, we're going to have to give this guy a max contract. And the new ownership saw how much that is and said, I ain't paying anybody that kind of money. Okay, besides, you're the one telling me he's fat and out of shape and can't play defense worth a lick. And Nico goes, yeah, but he's our best player, and it's the guy that they buy all the jerseys of, and he's in his mid-20s. And I think the new ownership said, I ain't giving him a max contract. And at which point Nico went to plan B and said, well, I can work a trade and we can put our team together this way. That's what I think happened.
Okay. But you're right. He ended up falling on the sword and he was gassed.
But we saw it in Tampa with the Glazer family. I mean, listen, if they didn't go out and get Tom Brady, okay, who immediately turned them into winners, I mean, the fan base had told the Glazers for half a decade, we're done with you. Done. You drafted Jameis. Okay, you even brought in, no risk it, no biscuit. He went 7-9. I mean, the fan base was like, we don't think you're serious. We don't like the way you're running this team. What'd you talk about? 20-something year waiting list? They went through it in 2?
Right.
For tickets?
Right.
Then they signed Brady.
Huh. Do you think Stephen Ross is paying attention to any of this? Because the fan base in Miami does not want this head coach at all.
Well, Pat's talked about it. Right. He does, but Pat's talked about it. This is where, right about now, right, season ticket renewals go out. Don't you think for the next 4 weeks they ain't going to be getting and you've worked in this. Granted, it was minor league hockey, but season ticket renewals are season ticket renewals. You know the pace that they come in. You know the percentage of renewals and what they should be. And when the pace is too slow and the percentage is too low, you got problems.
David, so much so that I used to, and this is the minor league level, I would get so panicked that it was every day. How many did we get today? Because I knew the number we needed to be at. Because typically in the sport I worked, you lost 20, 25% of your season ticket base every year. That's a hard number to make up. Every 4 or 5 years, you're running through your entire season ticket base. College football's going through this right now for a different reason. Because they're pricing so many people out. Read an article yesterday about Florida State and Florida fans that just don't know if they can afford it anymore.
Right.
Because of not just the ticket cost, but what you have to pay in order to be a booster in a certain section. And, Doak, with all the renovations, they went down. Their capacity went down substantially.
And it's the commitment everywhere. Not only are they asking more of you for the seats, they're asking you to give a certain amount of money so you even have the right to purchase the seats. The hotels, they know they got 7 home games a year. Okay, it's minimum stays, some 2 days, some 3-day stays, and it's not like they're charging $169 a night for those stays. So yeah, to be a season ticket holder, it's a lot of money. This could be fascinating in Miami though, Mark, because you have to believe that the season ticket renewal rate is going to be bad. Yet, what are the Dolphins poised to do right now? Start winning. They've won 2 in a row. The schedule is soft. I mean, right now, if I put the over under, what are the Dolphins at? 4?
Yes.
The Dolphins have 6 games left? Or 7?
The Dolphins have 6 games left. They are 4-7.
Correct. Okay. I'll give you the over-under right now at 2.5. How many wins do the Dolphins get the rest of the way? Because if you go over, that means 7-10. And I don't know if
I'd go over.
Okay.
I'd go over.
That's a minimum of 7 now that the Dolphins are going to end up with. This owner has already said publicly he does not want to fire the coach. If they finish the year going from 2-7 to 7-10, do the math. That's a 5-3 finish. How many coaches get fired finishing 5-3? He finished 6-3 last year. He's already said, I don't want to fire the coach. But the business people, like Pat talked about, the business people kept coming down the hall with the Jets going, we're losing millions of dollars because you won't fire the coach. Millions of dollars. And you wonder, is Stephen Ross going to side with the football part of him wants to keep Mike McDaniel? We think he's wrong, but that he has said that. He wants to keep him. The business people are going to be running down the hall going, you do know we're losing $15 million by keeping this guy.
And I guess it's probably twofold now at the top levels. Are you losing any suite holders? And how much does that factor in with how many season ticket holders you lose?
Right.
Because the big money is more than likely staying. That's a corporate thing. They don't necessarily care about the wins and losses the way that the average fan does.
But I'll just here. Do you consider me an average fan, or not really?
I mean, it's tough to consider you an average fan because you and I don't buy tickets to games.
I wanted to for 2 years. I wanted to buy Dolphin season tickets. Now I don't know how many games I would have gone to. I might not have gone to one because of my work schedule. But I wanted Dolphin season tickets. A, they were good and exciting. And B, they had a phenomenal home schedule. Phenomenal. But I wanted good seats. I didn't want upper deck in the sun. I wanted good seats and was willing to pay the fare. And both times, Mark, I signed up as early as you could sign up. And both times was told, sorry, sold out, you're on a waiting list. 2 years, not 1, 2. Remember how you jumped the gun with Brady and the Bucks? You got in 8 minutes before the word got out that Brady was going to the Bucks.
Right.
And you got great seats at a good rate, at least for the first year.
Yep. Nope, I had club seats. They were fantastic.
Right.
That's what I'm told. I sold all of them. Didn't go to one game.
Right. And I was probably going to do the same. Well, I don't even have an interest. They've been calling and emailing me for 2 years. I'm like, I'm good. Well, do you want lesser seats? No, I don't want any seats at all. I'm good.
But the college one interests me because there are so many, there's such a division between the haves and have-nots in college football. That if you're expected to be a have and you've become a have-not, Florida State, Florida, Miami, that's the one thing, and Canes fan knows it. There's a game or two a year that matters to the Canes fan. They don't show up for any of the rest of them.
Nope.
They're never going to sell a lot of season tickets there. Whereas places like South Carolina sell out all their games. That's the thing. Like Franklin I'll circle this all the way back to where we started the show with Franklin going to Virginia Tech. You know what they do there? They sell out all the time. Nebraska, they sell out. They've sold out for decades at Nebraska.
It's a blessing and a curse. But if you're an administration and a coach and a would-be administration and a coach, you look at those places and you go, oh, yeah, I can work there. I could definitely work there.
So, what will Lane decide upon? We don't know.
It's getting interesting, though, because it got out in the last 24 hours that apparently what we talked about yesterday at this time, that if we were Ole Miss, we'd have a little problem with what he said and how he acted Saturday, and how the fact he hasn't just said, I'm staying.
And now Ole Miss wants to know, and they want to know before the Egg Bowl next week.
If you're Ole Miss, remember Bo, the famous Bill Frieder, still had what? He was under contract for the rest of the season. They were about to enter the NCAA tournament. Obviously, Bo wasn't enamored with Bill Frieder because he didn't offer him a contract extension. So Frieder signs with Arizona State, but he figures he's going to coach out the year. And Bo replaced him immediately and said, a Michigan man is going to coach a Michigan team.
Yeah, well, this is Ole Miss, not Michigan, and I'm letting Lane coach until we're done.
Okay.
Lane is the guy that gives us the only shot to go. There is no way you put someone else running that team in December and think you can make a run. Now, I don't know if Ole Miss can make a run with Lane, but I'm going to take my chances with him.
Okay. So you're not concerned that if he's forced to go public with his decision and his decision is to leave, that the team will go in the tank in the playoff?
Those players are all, for the most part, they're all mercenaries in the transfer pool. I'd run it as far as I could run it.
Okay. All right. I mean, when you get rid of Lane, you also get rid of the offensive coordinator, so that's problematic. He's not just the head coach. He calls the plays. But, would be interesting. How do you think that team will respond if Lane – because remember, when Urban announced early at Utah, they still finished the unbeaten season. That seems like a long time ago, because it was. The bonus hour, the Diamond District bonus hour, Miller and Moulton is next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, Call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah!
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Robes, I didn't even see his MSU rant. I saw one last week that he, ripped on him for being cheaters, but I mean, it's rich for the Michigan guy to call anybody else cheaters, but I am so turned off by Michigan State, it's not even funny. I don't even pay attention to them. This is as bad as it's ever been there. The last time they had a winless season in the Big Ten was like 1958.
This is what, 4 straight losing seasons? And forget the whole taking wins away. We're just talking straight up 4 straight losing seasons. Aren't we going like Eisenhower administration? Last time that happened?
Yeah, they're a 16.5-point dog at Iowa this week. And they finish with Maryland at home, and Maryland's been dreadful for a month and a half.
Yeah, the posts aren't loading again.
Yeah, they haven't the whole show.
Yeah, it worked for like 20 minutes for me.
Gophers are fun. I mean, you know what? I'm not a PJ Fleck guy, but he's done a pretty good job by them. He takes them to bowl games. He wins 1 game a year he's not supposed to win. At Minnesota, that should be enough.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour, the fourth and final hour of Miller and Moulton in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Kicking it both ways on a Tuesday. Usually by Wednesday, we have to start moving entirely forward. Tuesday can still go back, go forward, a lot of stuff on the table. Cowboys demolition of the Raiders. Whew. Man, they look bad. Mark, you were right. I didn't listen to you. I played a hunch on the Raiders, and you warned me. You said, David, they're really bad. And I go, well, I know they're bad, but, and you were like, no, they're really bad. Mark, they're really bad. Whew.
I have a buddy who's a Raiders fan, and he and I are both Michigan State fans. And we're in a group text with a guy who's a big Lions fan, and he just sent out a text Monday and said, Raiders football tonight, the Michigan State Spartans of the NFL.
Ouch.
Spartans are winless in the Big Ten, by the way, just in case you were wondering.
Well,
yeah,
also,
they're awful. They're awful, the Raiders.
Yeah, and there are some situations like, listen, the Titans are awful. Their offense is embarrassingly bad, but don't you have some hope with this Cam Ward guy? Now, right now, he's not being coached well, and they don't have enough around him. But don't you at least have a little bit of hope about this Cam Ward guy? What do you have hope for in Vegas on that side of the ball? In mid-30s, Geno Smith? I mean, how far can Brock Bowers take you? Even if Genty stops dropping the ball and starts getting a little bit of blocking, man, oh man. Do you know he had more negative runs last night than positive runs? Not that they ran the ball nearly enough. I mean, it was late third quarter. They had run the ball 5 times all game. But, I mean, seriously. I mean, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Max Crosby, the Mason Miller, the second tight end there behind Bowers. I mean, they got 4 guys. Everybody else, the league's like, no interest.
Yeah. No,
I don't know how you sell it.
But as we talked about at the beginning of the show, I don't know how long it will take fans to turn on the Raiders in Vegas. And at the same time, if you watched any of the game last night, that crowd was a pro-Cowboy crowd. They went to Vegas. Yep. And the Cowboys have a national appeal. We all know that. They train in California. So for people that, go to training camp, it's an easy trip. I get it. But I didn't realize, I had an acquaintance, guy that I've known for many years. He was at the game. One of my son's buddies that I'm in a fantasy football league with. I just noticed he sent a picture last night to the fantasy football group chat. He was at the game. Yeah, that's a kid in his 20s. And his comment was, it'll be 8 years before we're out here again. That's a Cowboys fan going out to see his team. So I don't think Vegas is ever going to have an attendance problem, if you know what I mean.
No. You and I have said that. Okay, when they were contemplating Vegas, we said, well, heck, they'll sell that place out just from the visiting teams. I mean, also,
by the way, if they end up with an NBA team and an MLB team, can they handle all 4?
Well, okay. I told everybody yesterday I spent 6 hours at the sports book Circa on Sunday. I did as much R&D as I could do. Here's the word that I got. And listen, I'm not a player. I don't know a ton of people who have a ton of money. I don't. I was with a guy in Vegas who is a bit of a player, and he knows all the people who have the money in Vegas. And what I was told, Mark, is that the baseball thing, they got real problems with that. That the folks in Vegas don't want it, don't like the location of it, and are not really interested. Here's the second thing I was told. Yeah, we're going to get an NBA team. LeBron ain't going to be the owner. And I asked why, and was basically told by money people because he's going to be outbid. The one guy said to me, there's one person you've already met in this room who will outbid LeBron and whoever he brings to the table. So unless the fix is in, they're like, oh, we're going to get a team, but LeBron ain't going to be the owner of it. He may want it, just like Eli Manning wanted a piece of the Giants. And at the end of the day, he said, yeah, it's too much money. I can't scrounge up that much money. When a Manning says that, I mean, they had a former president of the United States on the Manning cast last night. You think they're connected? Okay. And both guys had been invited to the White House for state dinners previously, and they can't get the financing to buy 1 to 3% of the Giants. So that's what I was told, Mark. Baseball, community doesn't want them. Don't know how it's going to work. Basketball, oh, we're going to get a team and we'll support them out of it. But it ain't going to be LeBron because there's too many people here with a lot more money than LeBron's going to be able to bring to the table.
Interesting. I will say, the other great player that owned a team was a horrific owner. Just because you're an all-time great doesn't mean you have any idea how to run a team.
You talking about Michael Jordan?
I am. So just curious, your R&D mission in Vegas. You've had a good Vegas trip without gambling. I mean, you've gone to a hot breakfast joint. You sat in a sports book for 6 hours watching games.
Yeah.
You obviously took in Monday Night Football. So you've had a full trip before your trek back east later today. I mean, it's been a solid trip. Now, if you would have done the game at the Coliseum, you might have had even a little more Vegas time.
Yeah, I would have been in Saturday night. Then I would have gambled. Here's what's breaking my heart. You do know who's playing in Vegas tonight, right? The Rangers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're on the road, which means they have a really good chance of winning.
Right. What are they, like 9-1-1 on the road? Something like that this year? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Breaking my heart. I got to admit, that hurts a little bit.
I got to admit, too, and I didn't watch any of it on Sunday night. That's on me. But when the Rangers and Wings played, and neither team was wearing white, it looked really good. The Rangers were in those Centennial blue jerseys that aren't as dark as their normal blue. It's a little lighter.
Yep.
And the Wing Centennial jerseys are pretty slick. The winged wheel looked good. Not to mention they had a little brawl at the end of the game.
Right? Yeah.
That the goaltender started. See if there are any repercussions. He came off the bench to start a brawl, but it was after the game. I think the NHL is just going to turn their head the other way.
I think they are also. Plus, it helps that the goalie's name is Jonathan Quick. He's a Hall of Fame goalie. Okay, arguably the best goalie in U.S. history. So, yes, I think they'll look the other way.
Did you come close to trying to stay another night?
Here's the problem. Wife and I, not to bore people, but I will have 9 games in the Pacific time zone this year. 9. With only one Saturday game and Monday game, both in the Pacific time zone. The problem was, for the longest time this year, the forecasted game for CBS this coming Saturday was Rutgers at Ohio State, not USC at Oregon. So it looked like I was going to have to, this coming Saturday, be in Columbus and then fly to San Francisco. We only found out Sunday, really Saturday night, that instead of Columbus, we're going to be in Eugene, Oregon. If I had any, notice, I'd be out west all this week. And like you just said, I'd be in Vegas tonight to watch the Rangers. I'd be doing the show tomorrow from Vegas. And then, I don't know, I might rent a car and drive to Eugene and just stop along the way and do the show there Thursday. But yes, if I had any notice at all, I would have spent the whole week. Meanwhile, I tried negotiating the Monday before Thanksgiving, San Francisco. I knew all year the Saturday after Thanksgiving was going to be on the West Coast, either Seattle or Los Angeles. So I brought up, well, Thanksgiving week, can I just stay out west?
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Right. This week would have been doable. Next week, no.
It's kind of part of our poll question because David's wife apparently a lot more pro-Thanksgiving than she's let on because the Christmas tree's already up and she bypassed the damn holiday. Not sure why David can't stay out there. All you were going to do is put a couple ornaments on the tree. But we ask, is your tree up? The problem is X doesn't seem to be working. There's some backline channels that are knocking down websites across the world today, and It looks like X is down. David and I have had no communication with that beloved app today. But is your tree up? Your choices were yes or hell no. I'm in the hell no category.
And unfortunately, my wife, who waited a week longer than normal, she had the tree up by the 8th. Remember, the first was a Saturday. I really thought the tree was going up 11/1. She waited a week.
Yeah, that Saturday after Halloween gave her an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
It really opened the door. Miller and Moulton, good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when, and what's on tap? That's 25 minutes away. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I will say, Adam, A-Rod owns the T-Wolves. They're doing just fine. Jeter wasn't an owner with the Marlins. He just ran them horribly. I guess no, he was. He was part owner, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he wasn't a majority owner. Yeah, no, the Ole Miss people are getting very worried. They came to the conclusion that we have. Josh Pate got on lane yesterday.
I'm watching UFC fighters react to the Reeves-Rempe fight. That's pretty funny.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. The home stretch of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins, all joining us tomorrow on a Hump Day edition of Miller and Moulton. Hey, I didn't share this earlier. Did you read the story in which they have their simulator and they projected how everyone's going to finish from here and therefore who will make the playoffs and what the seeding will be?
I don't think I saw that.
So,
don't know how, but
The Athletic did what I said. They had a simulator. They plugged in whatever their data is, factored the schedules into the equation. In the AFC, Mark, the Patriots end up the 1 seed at 13-4. Denver and the Colts both end up 12-5. Somehow they have Denver as the 2 seed and Indy the 3. I would think we wouldn't head-to-head flip that, or is it possible that they go conference record? But anyway, so Patriots, Broncos, Colts, Ravens win the North at 10-7. which would mean that they would finish what, on a 9-2 run because they were 1-5.
Exactly right.
Remember?
Yep.
And like 3 weeks ago, we went through this schedule and we said we can see them getting to 10. Will that be enough? The Steelers missed the playoffs at 9-8. The Texans rebound big way, 0-3, 2-5. They finished 9-8, missed the playoffs. But Mark, the Chiefs missed the playoffs in a 10-7 tiebreaker with both the Chargers and the Jags. Chargers is the 6 seed, Jags is the 7, Chiefs is the 8. They're out. Bills are the 5 seed. So the Jags would go to Denver, according to The Athletic, in the first round of the playoffs in a 2-7 matchup with the Patriots getting the bye. By the way, Jim Harbaugh would take the Chargers into Indianapolis. Harbaugh, okay, is in the Colts Ring of Honor. So that would be interesting. NFC, Eagles and Rams finished tied at 13-4. Eagles, the projected 1 seed. Lions win the North at 11-6. So they're the 3. Tampa Bay wins the South at 10. By the way, they pull away from the Panthers, who finished 8-9. The wild cards in the NFC: Seattle at 12-5, the Niners at 11-6, and the tie works in Green Bay's favor. Packers at 10-6-1 edge out the 10-7 Bears.
That makes a lot of sense to me. That I see that very similarly, because if you look at who the 49ers play the rest of the way, I have a difficult time seeing them miss the playoff the rest of the way. The Panthers on Monday night. I know Carolina's been playing better. Are they really going to go into San Francisco and win? Then they go to Cleveland. Then they host the Titans. They're at the Colts. Tough game, but it's also a non-conference game. So when push comes to shove, you're going to lose. That's one to lose. And they host the Bears before hosting Seattle. So I see 2 losses left on their schedule, but I can certainly see them at 11-6 when it's all said and done.
For what it's worth, they also, because they're projecting all the games the rest of the way, Titans, who currently have the number 1 pick, end up with the number 1 pick. Jets 2, Giants 3, Raiders, Browns, Saints, your top 6 in that order.
Big games for the Saints coming up. They're at the Dolphins. They host the Jets. They're at the Titans. I mean, the New Orleans Saints can really screw up where they could be drafting here with these remaining games.
And 4 of those 6 teams figured to be wanting a quarterback. If the Athletic is correct, the Jets at 2, the Raiders at 4, the Browns at 5, and the Saints at 6.
Another big week coming up in the NFL. We'll turn the page tomorrow, but Pat and I were talking during the break. It's like, it's not as good as the one we just finished, but another pretty good week. The NFL tends to do this. It just keeps getting better and better as you get down to the wire. Unfortunately, for those of you that like Saturdays more than Sundays, well,
awful.
You can do what you want until around 3:30, and then watch USC Oregon, and then you can go back to doing what you want, because there's not a lot there in college football. This is the week before rivalry week. This is the week everybody plays a bunch of cupcakes.
Is this the game that determines whether or not the Big Ten gets 3 or 4? Or is Michigan a fly in the ointment anyway, that if Oregon wins, the Big Ten can still get 4.
If Oregon wins, the Big Ten can still get 4, but it needs Michigan to win out.
Right.
The question is, if USC beats Oregon, let's just say, for sake of argument, Ohio State beats Michigan, they're going to be double-digit favorites. They are. All right. USC beats Oregon. Are we sure the Big Ten even gets 3?
If USC goes 10-2 with one conference loss, and ironically that game would be at Illinois, yeah, I think USC would get in. Plus, what's the name of the school again?
It's USC. No, I know. Tell you what, doomsday scenario for the Big Ten. USC beats Oregon, loses to UCLA. Michigan loses to Ohio State. Then you're sitting with 2-loss Oregon, who lost to USC. 3-loss USC. And teams like Vanderbilt would be going, are you sure? Are you sure? And Miami, for that, at that point, becomes relevant if they can win their remaining games.
Well, I do think, I mean, if you're Miami, first off, the committee rankings tonight are big. We'll say it again. Where is Miami and Georgia Tech, and for that matter, BYU, in relation to where Vanderbilt is? Vanderbilt is the 6th best team in the SEC. We're ahead of Utah, Miami, and Georgia Tech. That's a problem for the Big 12 and the ACC wanting more than one bid. But, Mark, you hit on it. If you're a Miami fan, aren't you rooting for USC? You could argue, no, you want them to lose so they don't get in the middle of the fight. But to me, I want them in the middle of the fight because I want to be able to say, they lost to Notre Dame and we beat Notre Dame.
Gotta mean something. At some point, the actual games that are played have to mean something. I'm sorry. Miami, in my book, would still be ranked ahead of Notre Dame. They would. They beat them. Doesn't it mean anything anymore? And the fact that Miami's so many spots behind Notre Dame, to me, is just a terrible job being done by the AP voters. Because let's be honest, the committee just looks at the AP and pretty much goes along with whatever they're doing.
Either that or this group think has gotten totally out of control.
Miller and Moulton. Tonight, the College Football Playoff Committee comes out with their rankings. Bud Elliott on the show tomorrow will discuss it with him.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installers. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. 1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave. By the way, somebody asked, when did Trent Dilfer get fired? It was mid-October. And Chris Mortensen's kid is the interim coach. I think he's the coach. Might be the offense coordinator, but I thought he got the gig for the rest of the year. Well, Logic Man, the draft doesn't help the ACC and the Big 12. Because if you take a look at the players and where they're drafted from, it screams SEC Big 10. Screams it.
in the first 3 rounds, and especially the first two.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the drop of the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins on the show tomorrow. X is struggling, but please feel free to go and vote. Poll question of the day: is your Christmas tree up? Yes or hell no? You know where Mark is, and well, you know where my wife is.
Right. David would be right with me. There's no way, man I've worked with for nearly 20 years would let Thanksgiving down. He just wouldn't. He likes food too much.
My mother used to put the tree up on Christmas. Santa also brought and decorated the tree. It was amazing. I went to bed on the 24th, woke up, and the whole house was lit up and decorated. And yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
So,
and also, you said your mom worked hard. She had to work a lot of jobs. She liked that discounted tree you can
no
get.
doubt about it. We would turn the tree so that the hole in it would be in the back, and it'd be in a corner. And this way, you didn't have to decorate it anyway because there was nothing to hang the ornaments on.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
A lot of stuff that's pre-20th century. We start in 1477. The first printed book in English was done in Westminster. 1626, St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, built on the church. 1865. I'm guessing you read this, David. I know I did. Mark Twain publishes The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calverness County. Susan B. Anthony arrested for illegally voting today in 1872. 1916, the Battle of Somme in World War I. British General Douglas Haig finally calls it off after more than 1 million soldiers are killed or wounded. 1928, Steamboat Willie is released, the first Mickey Mouse sound cartoon. 3 years after he broke the color barrier, Jackie Robinson is the MVP. Today in 1949. That season, he would bat .342, and he would steal 37 bases. Ben-Hur premiered today in 1959. Today in 61, JFK sent 18,000 military advisors to South Vietnam. 66, Koufax retires due to an arthritic left elbow. Also today in 66, the Roman Catholic bishops killed the fish fry. They allowed us to start eating meat on Friday. Today in 78, well, they drank the Kool-Aid. 918 members of the People's Temple are murdered or commit suicide, however you want to look at it, under the cult leader Jim Jones. Petty wins NASCAR, the Cup for the 7th time today in 79. We talked about it a few days ago, but it was today that Duck Koo Kim would die from injuries too. 1987, Andre Dawson, first player from a last place club to win an MVP. 1990. I thought this was going on a lot longer than this, David. The first Solheim Cup was today in 1990. It was at Lake Nona. The U.S. would beat Europe. The movie Malcolm X released today in 92. Nirvana did their acoustic set in New York for MTV Unplugged today in 93. And in 2005, Walk the Line was released. Alan Shepard, the first astronaut in space, and Len Bias would have celebrated birthdays today. Linda Evans from Dynasty is 83. Hockey coach Ted Sater, 76. Kicker Tony Franklin is 69.
The barefooted one.
Yeah. Metallica guitarist Kurt Hammett is 63. Seth Joyner, 61. Gary Sheffield and Owen Wilson are both 57. Megyn Kelly is 55. Jason Williams and David Ortiz hit 5-0 today. Denny Hamlin is 45, and Caleb Williams is 24. What did I miss, David?
Did you have the A&M bonfire?
I did not.
It was today in 99 that the 59-foot-high log-stacked pregame bonfire at Texas A&M collapsed, killing 12 and injuring 30 in an avalanche of timber. It was created in a tradition before the A&M Texas game, and the bonfire went away. It had only been canceled once before then, and that was following the assassination of President Kennedy. So there you go, 26 years ago today.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go across. Freeze was about to go play 9 with her buddy Darren Oliver when Darren rang her on the phone to say he felt too unwell to play. But as they were chatting on a video call, Darren was sitting outside his car. He began to stutter and then dropped out of frame. She knew something was wrong. She rang the club and got his address. She raced to find him slumped over the steering wheel. She called an ambulance, and the operator told her to drag him out of the car. But Darren weighed 280, so she couldn't do it. He was still breathing. She put the seat back and managed to get his head tilted back. Paramedics arrived. He suffered a heart attack in the ambulance. He was resuscitated by the paramedics. And he got a couple of stints. In the month since his heart attack, he's lost 112 pounds. He and Shannon are playing golf every week. And the pair raised a bunch of money for the British Heart Foundation with a Marathon 36 Golf Hole Challenge. For the bad, we go to Indianapolis, where on Friday morning, visitors at the Indianapolis Zoo were asked to shelter in place after a chimpanzee got loose from its enclosure. The female chimp was spotted outside of its enclosure on Friday morning. Park officials issued a guest lockdown, and the fire department was called to help. The good news is that the chimp, named Mara, did not escape from the zoo grounds. The zoo officials cornered her and sedated her before returning her to her enclosure. Fortunately, no one was injured. And finally, the ugly. We go to Boston's Logan Airport, where a JetBlue flight en route to Tampa had had to return to Boston due to a passenger disturbance. Apparently, a passenger seated in the front row went to the bathroom and started hitting his vape pipe. The crew inhaled it. I don't know how. It's a vape. I don't get this one at all. But they declared an emergency and had to return to Boston. The man was, of course, arrested and now will be facing FAA fines and perhaps federal criminal charges. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Tuesday, November 18th, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Hiring new officers, great pay, overtime, great benefits. For more information on that and other jobs, where do they go, David?
CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com.
So there you have it.
So if you're waiting for the college football playoff rankings, I believe they're happening at 8:30 tonight Eastern. The reason I say that is ESPN has a college hoop doubleheader. Pretty damn good one, too. 6:30. When you're early, you've got a good doubleheader. The nightcap is Kansas and Duke. The games are scheduled for 6:30 and 9 Eastern. My guess is the playoff committee ranking show will air in between the tip-off of those two basketball games. So figure on 8:30 for it to begin. There is college football tonight, Maction triple header. Akron against Bowling Green, 7 o'clock on ESPNU. Bowling Green at home's a 3.5-point favorite. ESPN2 at 7 o'clock is Western Michigan, a 6.5-point favorite at Northern Illinois. But 0-10 UMass is in action. They're at the Bobcats of Ohio. 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network.
How many do I have to lay with the Bobcats?
It's the biggest line I think I've ever seen in MAC history. It's 33.5.
Damn.
Right.
Damn.
33.5.
We've got a great hockey game tonight in Tampa. No, I mean, I'm serious here. The Devils, one of the best teams in the league so far this year, in Tampa to take on the Lightning. This is, to me, kind of one of those early season tests for a team like New Jersey. Where do you stand? Go down to Tampa and win. For the record, the Lightning minus 165. That's what Vegas thinks about the Devils coming down south.
Wow. And the injury to Hughes, he's going to miss 8 weeks. I guess they're really thinking that's going to hurt them. But
wait a minute, Hughes
Lightning
is
have
hurt
struggled
again?
at home.
That never happens.
There's 3 of them, though. You got to get all their injuries straight. 6 NBA games. By the way, 8 NHL games. I think your Wings host the Kraken. My Rangers are in Vegas. None of them nationally televised unless you count an NHL network, but no ESPN or Turner tonight for hockey. 6 games in the NBA. Tuesday night's the NBA Peacock Thing, where if you're east of the Mississippi, the early game is on NBC, the late game is on Peacock. If you're west of the Mississippi, they flip it. The doubleheader, Orlando is playing Golden State at 7. That's not part of the doubleheader. Memphis and San Antonio is. Think about that. Morant wants out of Memphis and no Wemby.
Well, and they're both out. Morant's hurt, so's Wemby.
Right. Okay. And then the nightcap had it in front of me and lost it on East Coast Peacock. Phoenix at Portland. Man, NBC is all into this NBA thing.
Pistons in Atlanta, back-to-back favorite in that game. Golden State and Orlando, that's a pretty fun game, providing everybody plays for Golden State.
Yeah.
That's the game of the night.
I agree.
For what it's worth. But that's a look at the NBA and the NHL. And, of course, where would we be without Maction? College hoop tonight, as David mentioned, pretty good doubleheader. Sparty and Kentucky, Duke and Kansas, the two games tonight. College football playoff rankings will be between the two games of the doubleheader. Pay attention to teams ranked 11 through 14 and how they stack them up. That, at least to us, is everything as we try to figure out how this is going to shake down between now and the end of the season.
I'm even willing to go as far as 17 because USC and Michigan are going to be in the 16-17 range. Miller and Moulton, Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins tomorrow.
At the Diamond District, we know what you want.
Experience wall-to-wall diamonds during our Diamond event, November 21st through 23rd.
This is our biggest event of the year, featuring an expanded collection of GIA certified diamonds, designer jewelry, and exclusive collections from Takori.
This is the perfect time to start your holiday shopping.
More diamonds, more choices. November 21st through 23rd, only at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards and by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton